Question. How do we call? He gave us a signal.
What up, Gotham Guardians and Arkham Adversaries? It is your boy Trey of the Bat Channel. Man, oh man, we are live once again from the Bat Cave with the best co-host I could ever ask for, Super Bro Corey. Where are you at?
What's up, everybody? How we doing tonight?
My man, I am so excited for this show because there was something that you and I have been keeping quiet for 4 days, 3 days.
Yeah, found out Friday, last Friday's stream with Skywalker is when I got invited on and got to hear the news and the arc and everything like that. So, yeah, I'm blessed I didn't have to keep a secret for nearly as long. And damn you, Trey, for keeping a secret from me.
It was tough. It was not easy. I think I was told it was either late November or early December. I can't recall. And when I was told, I was like, it was like one of those things you weren't expecting it. And then it processes in your mind and you're like, oh my God, holy cow. And insane. And when you think about, and you're going to hear me say this a lot tonight, guys, obviously this stream is about Dreamwalker and obviously the big news. We're going to have our special guest, Mikey Sutton, join us in just a moment here. But the stars aligning. If there's any truth here, that this is a perfect example of right place, right time, and a little bit of luck along the way. But as always, guys, it helps us out so much when you smash that like, you share this video, get all of your friends into the chat. We want to have a discussion with you, and we're going to open up the show a little later on for a Q&A with our special guest, Mikey Sutton, the creator of Dreamwalker and executive producer of the future TV series that's coming out. But as always, you can follow us on one of our social media pages like TikTok, Instagram, Twitter at _Bat Channel. And if you're on Facebook at Holy Bat Channel. We'd love to hear from you guys. It's a great way to connect with us and to let us know what maybe the things you want us to cover for the future, or if you have comments about tonight's episode or a past episode. It's just a great way to get in touch with us. But Corey, I feel like before we're
doing a first show tonight too, Trey. This is a big show. I think you should announce what's going on.
It is. Tonight, so before we bring on our special guest, first off, thank you for everyone that's here in the chat right now. I see a lot of you. Thank you so much for being here, and I appreciate your support and sharing this stream tonight, because we want to spread the word about this incredible content with Dreamwalker, the comics, the TV series. We want to spread the word because this thing is going to take off and you should not be left behind on it. You should be on the front line with us and Mikey Sutton and everyone that's a part of the Cool Table, Sil Nation, the Arc. We want you there with us celebrating and promoting the hell out of this thing because it's going to be really exciting. But yes, as Corey mentioned, tonight is a big night.
Most exciting news I've gotten all week.
Right. Tonight is a very big night because our very first inaugural spotlight series where we're going to be doing interviews on the Bat Channel. And of course, who better to have as our first guest than the Scooper Supreme himself, Mr. Mikey Sutton. Corey, bring in the legend, the myth, the GOAT, Mikey Sutton, ladies and gentlemen.
I, I am honored that you're wearing a suit and tie for me. I mean, how cool is that?
Hey man, as I said in the backstage, when you have a big celebrity here, you got to show up. You know, you got to show
Thank
that you're taking it seriously. And this guy right here, Mikey Sutton, you know, he's no joke, guys. He wasn't no joke before, but now this is just evidence to the world that Mikey Sutton is here to stay and is going to be really a household name in terms of entertainment. Mr. Mikey Sutton, how have you been, sir?
It's just been a wild ride, and I was about to say, well, I'm gonna be on your TV next year, so he can't get rid of me. You know, I'm gonna infiltrate your dreams now. So,
Oh man, it's so crazy, Mikey, to the amount of news that's been happening for you lately, and really the world has kind of all pointed their direction to like, whoa, like where did this come out of? I mean, it really came out of nowhere. But not with, you know, it wasn't just luck, but it was hard work, you know, amount of years of you putting this together. And I'm really excited to have you on tonight to
thank you.
not only share like about how Dreamwalker started, because there's a lot of our audience who doesn't know the story, but I think it's important for them to know. Would you mind kind of breaking it down for us and tell us what is, for the man who's walking in his dreams already, you know, achieving the impossible, tell us where this all began. Where was the source of this Dreamwalker imagination taking flight?
Goes back 32 years, actually, and there's a part that's missing from some of the retellings of the story, because it's very obscure how all this started. But since I have time, I might as well start from the very beginning. You mentioned something that just made me kind of laugh a little bit, because when Spider-Gate happened, you know, when I scooped that Tom Holland wasn't going to leave by the end, you know, Marvel Studios, people thought I came out of nowhere. This guy just came out of nowhere. Some dude on Facebook, and you know, I've been in this business for 37 years, but you just don't know who I am, you know. And I think a large part of that is because I started in print media, Amazing Heroes magazine, Fantastic magazine. So a lot of people who weren't around back then are, you know, we're not familiar with me, because I came from that world, or I came from the music world. I used to write for All Music Guide. I had like 500 articles on there. But so when I came out, they're like, this guy's come out of nowhere. And no, I've been around.
Yeah.
You know? I was scooping under pseudonyms. I was a Black Knight on Lords of the Long Box. I was a Shadow on Pete's Basement. I did not want to make scooping a career, right? It was something I felt I could do this for fun. There's no pressure, just put it out there and let the fans go crazy. Like, yeah, okay, you know. But Spider-Gate happened, and that put me on the map.
And for those who don't know what Spider-Gate is, Mikey, can you give us a brief like little idea?
Okay, so Spider-Gate, this is where it gets really eerie again. Those coincidences, right? Because Spider-Gate, my role in Spider-Gate should not have happened, and I'll tell you why. So it was August 22nd, I think, 2019, right? Around there, I got this phone call. And I got a text message in the middle of the night, right? Somebody told me, hey, Disney and Sony have gotten into
Oh, I think Mikey, we might have got cut off right there.
I think Walter Hamada is still angry at me.
He's just like, dang it, this guy's taking over the horror genre now.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Leaving nothing for me.
I'm going in his turf now, right? So, but anyway, I got this message in the middle of the night that there's a dispute with Sony and Disney, and they're going to part ways with Spider-Man, right? And they told me this was going to hit one of the trades tomorrow morning. I can't remember if it was Deadline or whatever. And goes, hey, you want to be ahead of the story? and you can. I said no, I'm anonymous. I don't want to like. There's no YouTube show that I can go on right now in time to do this. And I said that, well, I have to make sure this is even correct. Now, keep in mind, this guy is a Sony insider telling me this. I should trust him, right? But I just couldn't buy it, dude. I couldn't buy it. There's too much money at stake here. I always follow the money trail. When I do scoops, I always follow the money trail. It did not make sense. Logically, it has to make sense. I told you off the air. It has to make sense logically. It did not make any sense whatsoever. Like, is Sony that stupid? Like, that dumb, they would not work with Marvel Studios anymore. And so I said, look, tomorrow I'm going to talk to my other, insiders at Disney. I want to talk to them and, see how they feel about this. And so they like, okay, whatever, man, whatever you say, so that night I was texting some Marvel insiders that night, some Disney insiders. Is this true? Is this true? And some people got pissed off. Dude, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Go to bed, So, but there's one particular insider who gave me the information. I scooped the Spider-Man deal to begin with. Let's put it that way. Spider-Man Civil War was my scoop. On Facebook, no one knew who I was, but it got a little bit of carry, right? But so I was kind of known for that a little bit. I was known for Black Panther and Civil War. That was my scoop as well. I broke that story. But he told me that Sony's trying to leverage a better deal. That's all it is, right? There's reports going to come out, and it's going to make it look like they've broken up, right? And the reason why is Sony wants to get a lot of the fans on their side, so they can get a better deal. Oh, it's Marvel's fault. They're the ones who walked away. They're trying to play it that way, trying to turn the tables, right? It's all like, it's all PR and media leverage bullshit, right? And so, I spoke with this guy, and he said that, no, it's bullshit. Debunk it. He's actually told me just debunk it, and I'm like, we're not gonna debunk it because I rely on my YouTube friends, and they weren't broadcasting that day, right? And I'm like, do I want to go public with this? Like, well, I know it's just gonna be debunked eventually anyway, right? Like I said, I had no intention of being some kind of popular scooper, which what I was accused of.
All in it for the fame. Right? Nope.
I swear it's Walter Hamada, man.
There you go.
Walter Hamada still after me. So I had no intention of becoming some kind of popular scooper or something. Then I realized something, guys. I look at the date and I said, oh my God, because the Philippines is a day ahead. Today is Kate Valdez's birthday. And I'm like, she's going to wake up in the morning, and she's a huge fan of Tom Holland. She's a huge fan of Spider-Man. The first thing she's going to see is that all over Facebook, Tom Holland leaves the MCU. What a horrible thing to wake up to. That's like waking up to Henry Cavill's gone from DC, right? We knew from like we all did, right?
Yeah,
we all did.
The huge outlash, right?
It's a huge. So I was thinking, oh my God, I have to go public with this so she'll read it. That's why I put my name on it. Like, back then,
Wow.
I had known her for less than a year back then. So I was like, well, I could message her, but I thought, I know she's filming. I don't want to. She's, probably really busy, right? So I just make it public. I just made it public. I said, okay, I hope Kate sees this, because I know she was always, looking at my Facebook page, liking stuff, and so like, okay, I'll have a picture of Tom Holland there, and I'll let people know that this isn't true, right? He's not leaving Marvel Studios. It's just a leverage move from Sony, just like exactly what the guy told me. So, guys, I put that out there in the middle of the afternoon. I was like, I wanted to make sure that I posted it before morning in Manila. It was all for her. And so I wasn't even thinking about any fame I would get from this. I was just hoping Kate would read this first before seeing the bourbon, right? Before the spider bourbon, and So here I was just innocently posting this. I turned off my computer. Like, la di da, Okay, I hope Kate sees it. She's not, I'll message her if she doesn't see it,
Mhm.
So a few hours later, okay, Kate did see it, so okay. She put a little, heart emoji on. Okay, she saw it. Okay. Um, then I looked at the shares and the likes. I'm like, what have I unleashed? Okay, because like I keep in mind I don't have the Facebook following back then as I do now.
Yeah.
Okay, I had about 2,000 friends back then. Now it's I'm pushing the limit on 5,000. Everybody's
Wow.
like following me, nice. I can't add them, right?
Right. I heard like you were on the Facebook limit where you had to like remove stuff.
I'm on that. Yeah, I have like overnight since the bomb happened. I've gotten 2,000 friend requests. I can't add these people. Facebook wouldn't let me. So, but anyway, I looked at it and there's like 300 or 400 shares of this article. I'm like, what's going on? Like, I can't be the only one saying this, right? I thought, okay. I look at all the big sites. I was the only one saying it, guys. I was the only one saying it. Like comicbookmovie.com had this horribly offensive article where they're like, cry fanboys cry. Tom Holland is gone forever and all this like clickbaity shit and just really, really annoyed me, right? Like, oh my god, like have I just unleashed a bomb on the world right now? Because and so it was unreal, dude. And so, it's like, okay, maybe it's just a fluke, right? It's a fluke. Maybe a bunch of Spider-Man fans,
Yeah.
or some group like shared it, right? I check again, and it was like 800 shares, and the likes were just off the chart, right? And I'm like, I don't have that many friends. How is this possible? I look at my friend requests are blowing up, right? Like, and apparently, what happened, guys, is that okay, this news got out. It ended up somewhere, and people were like going. The Spider-Man fans are going crazy. Like, who is this Mikey Sutton guy? Who is this guy? And then somebody took the time and went through my Facebook and found my scoops.
Wow.
And I'm like, this guy got Spider-Man right to begin with. He broke the Spider-Man deal that got him in the MCU to start with.
Wow.
He broke Black Panther in Civil War. Like, this guy's already got a track record. They lost their shit. They lost their shit. Like, oh my god, this guy's legit. And he's saying that Tom Holland's gonna stay. So it just exploded overnight. All of a sudden, I think about 2 days later, I'm on the front page of Yahoo.com.
Wow.
They're like, some guy on Facebook said this. I'm like, you put me on Yahoo.com, and then what happened was that guy who I don't know who this person was, who shared my track record. Some site picked up on that and did an article on that. Like, this Facebook guy's got a track record, like oh boy, here we go. And so that it went viral. It went viral, and then it really went nuts, guys. It really went nuts when a month later they patched up and Tom Holland went back to Disney. That's when, like, oh my god, that's where the whole "monkey is right" the hashtag came in, and other scoopers were at me, man. They were all at my ass. They were he's bullshitting you guys. He's fake. And I'm like, I'm not doing this for a living, guys. Like, what's wrong with you? And so it was Showbiz Cheat Sheet called me one of the top 5 most reliable scoopers. And that really pissed off a lot of the veteran scoopers because they saw the track record I had as well. They saw that post of my track record, but they said the biggest one is Spider-Man, and and I met so many people through that post, a single Facebook post that wasn't intended for public use. It was just for Kate. But then other YouTubers like Everything Always did a video on me on that. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, I'm everywhere, right? Everybody's like wants to talk to me. Like, how did you get this correct? What's really funny, guys, is that all all these doubters, if they had looked at the comment section, they would have known that I was right, because one of the producers of Spider-Man commented. He produced one of the Garfield films.
Uh-huh.
And he commented, goes, "You have the most accurate information I've seen online." But they didn't know who he was. They didn't know who he was. So so it was just hilarious, right? So I messaged him like, "Thank you for giving me the confidence with this." He goes, "Oh no, you're exactly right. I already spoke with them. You're exactly right."
That's crazy. Corey, I know I see Savage Bad keeps messaging
Yeah,
us
I
about
missed the super chat, I guess.
You missed a super chat? Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. Well, the
Oh my
Savage Bat-
God. Thank you, Savage Bat. That's awesome.
Thank you, sir. Oh my goodness. I spent far too much money on Jack Daniels and cocaine celebrating the Dreamwalker movie. Worth every penny. Hashtag Mikey versus real.
I have this image of Savage Bat as Al Pacino and Scarface, right? All the cocaine, amounts of cocaine and Dreamwalker, like.
Right? Oh my gosh, yes.
Man, okay, man, that's what I do, okay? He's the bad guy,
Savage, you are a crazy man, but no bourbon tonight. I mean, unless obviously you're using Jack Daniels to celebrate, but the cocaine as a friendly super Batman, I have to tell you, drugs are bad. Stick to coffee. Corey, would you be so kind to play Savage Bat a little thank you for that big super chat? Thank you, sir.
Yeah, let's give him to this one. This one's
How did you get the house back from the bank?
I bought the bank.
Sounds like my boss now.
Yeah,
Savage Bat
just like 108 Media did recently. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Thank you so much for that, Savage. So obviously Spidergate puts you kind of on the map, but I'm told that you had a stroke at one point, and this was what really kind of set off the kind of, I guess you could say, the start, kind of the epicenter of Dreamwalker. Can you tell us about that whole experience?
Yeah, sure. This is almost like this is the incident where it almost this might have would not have happened if things went the other way. So 2018, roughly a year before Spidergate, I had a devastating stroke. It's the worst stroke you can get. I remember I woke up that morning. I was talking to a close friend of mine. Then I got up to drink some water, and I collapsed. I crashed onto the where my clothes are, and I hit my head on the drawer there, and I tumbled back down. And I tried grabbing for my phone. My phone fell underneath the electric fan, and I couldn't reach it, and I couldn't move. I was literally paralyzed. Could not move my left hand whatsoever, and my right hand couldn't reach the phone. My other phone was across the room. There's no way I could get it. And my landline was unplugged. So my mother was not home. She was at a doctor's office, and I just was lying there. I knew what happened. I just knew I had a stroke because I was warned about that. If you don't lose weight, you might have a stroke. And I just felt you that whole cliche about life flying before your eyes. That's what it felt like. I remember it being really hot, and just staring out the window. I was trying to grab something to smash the window to get somebody's attention outside. I was screaming, nobody can hear me. This is the first time I've really explained in detail about what happened that day. And I guess I was laying there for 3 hours. 3 hours on the floor. And luckily, my mother had come home. She saw me on the floor. I said, "Call 911 now." Call 911, and they came. I weighed almost 400 pounds back then. And so, like, the medics weren't enough to carry me. They had to get some other people to help carry me. I was that heavy, right? So they took me to the hospital, the ER. And they were putting all tubes and everything. And you know that scene in Dreamwalker #1 where she's in the hospital. That's all
Yes.
from my memory. That's from my stroke.
I
Her looking
wondered.
up at doctor. Yeah, that's exactly everything. That the way the narrative was, the beeping sounds and all that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was going through. Um, and so when I was there, I'll never forget this. This nurse just came up to me. I just call her the nurse of death. I never saw her again. It's really weird, right? She just showed up
Mhm.
and she said, "You're gonna die tonight, and you want a priest? I mean, I can get a priest for you, and you should call all your relatives, get your affairs in order because it's doubtful that you're gonna live through the night. And whatever you do, don't fall asleep. If you fall asleep, you're not gonna wake up, and at least you'll have more time to see your family." I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like,
Wow.
no way am I gonna die. No way am I gonna die. And behind me was the blood pressure monitor, and I kept looking at it to see if it would go down, right? And it was extremely high. I can't remember what my blood pressure was, but it was extremely high. And keep in mind, guys, that usually when they say you're having a stroke, you get warning signs. There's no warning signs at all.
Wow.
Nothing. I just collapsed.
Wow.
There was no, oh, you get dizzy. No, I didn't know that. When I collapsed and then I got dizzy when I fell. There was no, you don't feel all your leg is like paralyzed. It was paralyzed when I fell already. I already
Wow.
had the stroke when I felt those symptoms, not before. And
Yeah.
so all through the night, I kept looking at the blood pressure monitor, like, man, and it's going down. And so around that happened around noon when I had a stroke, and then around 8 o'clock in the evening, I remember doctor told me good news is going down. Okay, it's going down, but there's bad news. Okay, and he said the bad news is that you're probably never going to walk again,
Hmm.
and you will not regain the use of both of your hands, which means I can't write anymore. I can't write with one hand. So there goes, I can't walk and I can't, I am just totally handicapped, right? And so the next day, the blood pressure had gone down, but I could not move my hands, right? I could move my feet. All I could move was my thumb on my right hand, which I use to text. Even today, after all these years that I recovered, I text with my thumb. I got so used to it.
Hmm.
And people are like, how do you do that? How do you text with your
I'm so
thumb?
fast.
You're like really fast, right? They're like, well, look, I had no choice,
Wow.
And so they put me in physical therapy, and they said it's gonna be a hard road. There's a 50% chance now that you can walk, but you're gonna have to go through a lot of ordeals to overcome that. And I said to myself, I'm not gonna give up. I never give up, and so every day they put me through rehabilitation, just as much as I could handle, right? And I remember a little story time here for you guys.
Mhm.
Story time with Mikey Sutton.
Story time. Venom was coming out around that time, right? God, what was that line in the film about shit? Do you remember that line I'm talking about? Can't remember. There was some
Yeah, I
line.
can't think.
Oh yeah, it's not hitting me. I can't. I know the turd in the wind
That's like
portion.
turd in the wind. That's the one.
Oh,
Turd
that's
in
the one. Okay, I thought there was
turd in the
another one.
wind.
I was like, is
Okay.
it turd in the wind?
Okay, so get this right. I couldn't poop for like 3 days. I couldn't piss because you had a stroke, right?
Mhm.
And so when I finally, sorry guys if you're eating out there, it's story time. I just want to scare you guys. Anybody out there who are not being healthy, you don't want to go through this at all.
Mhm.
There's humiliation and pain and suffering and scary stuff. Okay, I weighed so much that I could not use that little bowl to poop on, and they had to have hydraulics lift up my body. Okay, and so where I could poop underneath me like a few feet up in the air, and I said to myself, So that's what turd in the wind means. You know?
Oh gosh.
I couldn't watch Venom, man. I could not watch Venom the same. But that turd in the wind reminded me of being lifted up in the sky and just dropping diarrhea down.
Oh my gosh.
So when I call a movie a piece of shit, I really mean it. Okay.
Right. Oh my gosh, but it seems like no matter what, you just enjoyed proving the doctors wrong. Now
yeah,
back
I
to
did,
typing,
yeah.
walking, you're doing it all.
Oh yeah, I admit I lost 200 pounds in
Wow.
about
That's
4
great.
months. I was eating very much. I was always exercising. For some reason, I got surrounded by the most beautiful nurses in the world. I just am I on a different Earth? That's what I was thinking. Is this Earth 2? Why did I get like with? I had one nurse who looked like Natalie Portman. I actually posted her picture.
I heard about that.
Yeah,
Like,
man.
you said Natalie Portman. I was just like, well, that's some good luck.
Yeah, I even told her, I said, you look like Natalie Portman, and she's half Filipino too. Like, what the hell's going on here, And then I had a trainer who looked like Jennifer Garner. And like, what? So,
Wow.
and
Just
I
going
was,
through it, Padme
yeah,
to
exactly.
Electra.
Yeah, there you go, there you go. And so I was cracking jokes all the time. I felt like Hawkeye Pierce and MASH, like he just cracked jokes all the time. Just nervous energy, right?
Yeah.
To get my mind off of things. And learning how to walk was difficult. It's like being a baby again. I kept like falling and stuff, and then I started posting on Facebook again. I posted pictures from the hospital, and one of the people who shared my post was Gail Simone. Shared my post of being I was holding one of her comic books up, and so I got people like inspiring me to keep on going. In fact, I remember when the Captain Marvel trailer dropped, all the nurses I was watching with all of them, and even that was inspirational to higher, further, faster. That was my motto when I was trying to get better. Then so I was put into rehab after hospital stay. And keep in mind, all this time, Noel Layon Flores, my artist, before my stroke, I told him that because he contacted me prior to my stroke and liked my scoops, MCU scoops and everything. And I scooped a show called Voltage 5 Legacy, which is a live action version of the anime that they were secretly planning on doing. And I broke the story. Which is GMA again, which is anyway.
Yeah.
And I had no idea this guy was working on it, right? And he messaged me, he goes, "Hey, don't tell anybody, but I'm doing the concept art. You want to see it?" Like, okay.
Wow.
Show me the concept art,
Hold on. So you mean to tell me, like, Mikey, that Noel was like dropping things to you, little Easter eggs, when this guy is just like constantly like, no, don't do it.
Yeah, I know. It's hilarious, right?
Oh man, that's fantastic. Noel, if you're watching, dude, you're fantastic.
And so yeah, keep it a secret. Don't post it. They'll get mad at me if you post it. Like, I won't post it. And it proves I was right. So they are working on this pipe show. I was right.
Wow.
At the time, Dreamwalker. Okay. Let me roll back 30 years now to where Dreamwalker really came from. So in 1991, there was there's Noel. He's there.
That was different. Explain, no.
So 1991, there was a British band called the Candy Skins. They had a song called Submarine Song. It was 120 minutes, an alternative rock song. And there was a line in the song, and I taped the video. I still have the VHS tape, but the video is historic now because of what it did for me.
I only told less than a handful.
Yeah,
sure.
I feel so. Hey, you were supposed to know that, Noel. Who told you that?
Oh man.
Yeah, I had a secret group anyway. So I had the submarine song had a line in the song that says, "And I walk through your dreams," and the rest of the song had nothing to do with that. It's just that one line in the song,
Huh.
and I'm like, I love that line. I love that line in that song. And I walk through your dreams. Like, how cool is that? Like, and I started picturing what a cool power to have. Like, if I could create a superhero, it'd be one who can walk through people's dreams.
Wow.
And I decided to make her a female because the guy's kind of creepy, right? What's the dude? Yeah, that kind of dream. That's how Dreamwalker's Dream Stalker, right?
Well, we know, just as it is in the comics, you know how Kat says, like, you know, some dreams are beautiful, some dreams are inappropriate.
Yeah. Inappropriate.
You know, the guy would have stayed in that inappropriate.
He would have said, yeah, he would have said it. Well,
like, oh, you can see me, shit.
like for example, you know. So, but it stuck with me, and I'm like, one day I'm gonna do a story on walking through people's dreams, and I never could. I had a hard time writing. Whenever I was trying to write, guys, because my mind was analytical, I was too self-aware. Like, I was reviewing my own work while I was writing it. It just doesn't good. It was exhausting, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so, I told Noel, okay, I'll do this comedy. It's a Japanese shoujo comedy about a girl who walks through people's dreams. And she's kind of a Dennis the Menace, mischievous type where she just messes people up. She's trolling people through their dreams and stuff. And, it was inspired by Rumiko Takahashi, a manga artist writer who created Ranma 1/2. But she's got some really dark stuff like Mermaid Scar as well, and she's I'm a huge fan of hers.
Yeah.
Based on Ikoku. Man, it sucked. It sucked. It was not funny. It was not funny whatsoever. And I couldn't visualize the girl. Like, what does this girl look like? Even I didn't even know what she looked like. Like, nothing could visualize her. And the only scene from Dreamwalker #1 that's from that original treatment was her eating the shopao. And you know, her brother, like, don't eat that, there might be shit in there, because you know dreams are illogical. That's the only scene that I kept from the original. Now check this out. In the original version of the script, she goes into that kid's dream, but she steals his ice cream. Okay, no, he's chopping up his dad. Right? See the difference there?
Oh my God. That'll do it. You know, you take the toddler's ice cream away, and he'll get you. You know?
He'll get you, right? And so,
oh my gosh, you know, there's some things when you read through the first issue of Dreamwalker, you can totally tell there was like some influence here. That I mean, like you said, I know at one point Dreamwalker was going to be the comedy, and something happened to where you decided to turn it into the horror that it was. And honestly, for the better, because holy hell, you are absolutely right. Yeah. Horror is your comfort. You know, you are incredible in it.
Thank you. Well, I grew up on Stephen King and Clive Barker on the novel side, and Alan Moore and Neil Gaiman on the comic book side. So it's my natural element is horror. And I grew up on horror films. My mom told me the first movie I ever saw was The Exorcist. So I'm like, okay, that makes everything. Yeah, we took you to a theater. Like, okay, sure. Okay, yeah. Some good family viewing there. So
yeah, absolutely. You know, just a bag of popcorn, you'll be good. Yeah.
So apparently the first two movies I ever saw was The Exorcist and The Godfather. So I must have been like 5 or 6. But my first memory of a movie was Last House on the Left. If you ever see that film, that's totally inappropriate for a kid.
Last House on the Left. I have not seen that.
Oh my God. It's a Wes Craven film.
Oh, that's all you had to say right there.
Wes Craven before he was respectable.
Oh, man. Inappropriate dreams will take root in the past. Correct.
So, oh yeah, I love John Carpenter.
Yeah.
So fast forward to so after the stroke, right? And this is what leads into the horror part. Um, and I had some weird experiences in the rehab center, which that's another story. But anyway, yeah, people died there. But anyway,
Yeah.
and
Noel
so-
says, I learned from Guillermo del Toro's storytelling way back in the late 90s when he was not yet that big.
yeah,
Ah,
I can see that.
yeah.
So after the stroke, I was learning how to walk. They sent me home. I finally got discharged out of there, and I had a walker with me. One night, I went to the kitchen, realized I didn't have my walker with me, and I was walking without it. It's like muscle memory kicked in. Your muscle remembers that hey, you can walk, you know. And so I started walking in the kitchen, and then I decided that okay, I'm just gonna walk back and forth to the kitchen as my exercise for now until I start getting really stronger. I go outside one random evening, and my mom was watching a soap opera called Onanai, and I see Kate Valdez for the first time. I'm just walking past, and I'm like, "Who is that?" You know, she just caught my eye from the very beginning. I saw her, and I stopped and started watching. I'm like, I'm watching a Filipino soap, but what has the world come to? You know, and then I was like, "Mom, who is this?" And I looked her up, and so. And I posted a picture of her on Facebook, which I now it's on my Facebook last night. I had a screenshot of it. It was the first time I posted about her. And then if you look at the comment section, it's pretty funny because a person would comment it was Noel. And he was like, "Who is that?" And I said, "Kate Valdez." He goes, and he's like something like, "Oh, I feel old because I worked with her." Like, you know?
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So there was a fantasy show in the Philippines called Encantadia, and I had no idea Noel was the lead visual designer. I had no clue. This guy was a lot more well known than I thought. So you know, he said, "Hey, do you want to interview her?" He messaged me because you want to interview her. 'Cause I had a site called Paper Cuts at the time, very small site. Goes, "Oh my god, yeah, of course, I'd love to." You know, so he gave me the phone number of her handler, and he goes, "Just contact her and see if you can get an interview." Like, okay. So within a week, I was interviewing Kate already. That's how fast it was. It just quick.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
And how cool, because I mean, some celebrities, you know, they're kind of very, you know, standoffish,
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
don't bug me. But it's
Yeah.
she seems like she has always been so open and welcoming to anyone who wants to have a good conversation.
Oh
Down to
yeah,
earth.
she was just great, you know. And so I interviewed her. Everything went really well, and I said, you know, Kate, I promise you. And I said this in the comment section of the article I wrote for her. I said, well, in the article, I said she's the next big thing. I said she's going to be huge. She's going to be an international star, so on and so forth. And, you know, she was about, I think, 19, 20 at the time.
Wow.
Yeah. And so big words, right? Big words. And so
Mhm.
I in the comment section, I said, Kate, I promise you two things. I'm going to do a comic book character after you, and I'm going to help make you a Hollywood star. 5 years later, here we are, and she is. But how did this happen? Okay, you probably think it's pre-planned. None of it's planned. It just happened,
Mhm.
organic, as you say. And so, we continued talking after the interview, and I was surprised. Like, oh, okay, we can still talk after this. I thought you interview a celebrity, and that's it. You move on, you know. But we started talking, and I discovered that she's into comic book movies, MCU and DC. So we had that in common. So we started talking about that. And then one night we were talking, and she said, "Have you seen The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina?" And I said, "No, you know, I just got back from the hospital, so I haven't seen it. I watched Riverdale, though, guilty pleasure. I watched Riverdale."
Yeah.
And she goes, "Oh, no, you'll love this." I'm like, okay. So After talking with her, I watched Sabrina, and it just hit me. It just hit me. I'm like, this show is really dark. It's demonic. It's like what she likes this stuff, you know. Like, but I'm watching it. I'm like, what am I doing? Why is Dreamwalker? I was called Daydreamer back then, but it was Noel who called it Dreamwalker by accident. Um,
Oh wow.
yeah, and and so I was like, this is a dark show, but I got really into it. Right? I'm like, man, why don't I just make this a horror comic instead of a comedy? It's my natural element. So that kid she stole ice cream from is now the kid killing his father and chopping him up, and that's how that transpired.
Out of curiosity, did Kate know at this time that you were starting to work on a Dreamwalker comic and that she was kind of the inspiration behind the main character?
Nope, she didn't find out until Noel drew the first
Wow.
art on her. She didn't know.
So she had no idea that she
No.
was also in a natural way and kind of indirectly
Yeah.
influencing your story and inspiring you to kind of
Yeah.
change directions. Wow, that's crazy.
Well, yeah, I mean, I kind of based her personality on what I was seeing from Kate already. Kind of like the way with you. I mean, I'm sure you saw the stream I had the other night where I was talking about how I was watching various YouTubers silently and getting their personality so I could adapt you to the comic books. And so I was kind of did that with Kate a little bit. And so, but she had no idea until Noel made the first post, the first sketch of her as Dreamwalker, and she was just blown away.
Wow.
Because I did tell her though that one day you'll be a comic book superhero. I didn't say it was Dreamwalker, but that was a promise I made to her. And so she was just like, when she saw that, she's like, wow, it's like, oh my God, that's me. Right. And everybody was saying, oh my God, it looks like Kate, you know?
Yeah, it's absolutely
it is
incredible artwork.
Yeah.
Like Noel nailed it.
He nailed it. And so after posting that photo, I was really shocked because I forgot something. In my interview with Kate, I was trying to get her to play Kate Bishop for Marvel. And because I was told that they were looking for a Filipina actress to play Kate Bishop.
Wow.
And turns out they got one with Haley Steinfeld. She's half Filipina.
Yeah.
But I was trying to get Kate for Kate. Okay, so
and I think I saw a picture on your Instagram about that. You took a picture with someone. Was it from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
That was Chloe Bennett.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's different. That's another one.
Okay.
So I was trying to get her to play Kate Bishop, but they already had Haley in mind already. But so anyway, that's when GMA, her network, did an article on me about me trying to get Kate for Kate. That was the first time that GMA wrote about me, and so I was already connected to Kate from the very beginning, just from that alone. So when the Noel had the art created for it, the cover, it was like the cover art for Dreamwalker or Daydreamer. GMA did an article on that, like, hey, you know, this Mikey Sutton guy he's gonna do a comic book modeled after Kate Valdez, and that it really blew up from there. And then that horror script I got done in a week.
Wow.
And because I was just like, I was on fire. I just wrote itself for that week, and I sent it to Noel, and he actually made a really big change in the script because originally, Kat is in a car crash. That's how it starts. But Noel goes, think of a bus crash because that happens frequently in the provinces. It's very tragic.
Wow.
And she's the only person left alive. And that gave me chills. I'm like, okay, you know what? That gives me an idea about the whole Dreamwalker mythology, and it just exploded from there. But I told them, they said, hey, don't you think it's too much effort to draw all that? I was thinking of like, I'm not paying this guy yet, you know what I mean? But no, he goes, no, it's just good. It's great for the story. I'm like, okay, anything for the story, all right, you know. He was working on Valdez 5 at the time that he was drawing Dreamwalker 1. and so it took a while. That's fine. I had no way. Noel, I'm sorry I never told you this, but I had no publisher. Like I had no publisher. I was dead broke. I was dead. There's no way I could afford to get this printed. Like, what the hell am I gonna do? Like, fuck it. We'll just roll with it, right? We'll just get it done.
Yeah.
And worst case scenario, put it up digitally, right? I mean, whatever.
Mhm.
I'm one of those people like I don't think of what could happen. I just do it. I just follow your heart and do it. Don't think about stuff. When you think about stuff, it won't happen.
Mhm.
If you start trying to predict how what if it doesn't get published and things like that? I can't think about that. I just have to do it, right?
Yeah.
And so he got the book done in a couple of months, I believe, and then I still had no publisher, and I'm like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? And so I got some help from some anonymous friends that became second skin, and they don't want to be. I'm not sure if they want to be revealed now. I'll ask them if they want to be revealed now. Who flew up here, and we made a deal for them to publish finance the first issue. And if I still needed help, they could publish the rest. And,
Postgraduate degree back then too. Out of curiosity, Noel, what was your postgraduate degree? If you can let us know in the comments. But I mean, that's crazy too, Mikey, with second skin comics, because it for both of you was kind of a risk, but in a way,
it was a risk.
You had no idea what was going to happen. I mean, all you had was really just a wonderful idea, a very talented artist, and see what happens. And it's so cool. It just seems like everyone just took the chance because you put the story first. The artwork was quality, and it was like, what do we have to lose here? And I think there's something to be said about anyone who is successful in this world. There's one piece of advice they seem to always give, and that is do. Just like you said
just
earlier.
do it. Just
do it.
Yep. I mean, don't even think about it, because if you start thinking about it, you won't do it anymore. Because like, what if it fails? And you're gonna discourage yourself from pulling through it. And I said, I'm just gonna. This is how the Seahawks won the Super Bowl against the Broncos. They weren't thinking about.
That's hurtful, Mikey. I'm from Colorado. That's hurtful. That's your first strike.
But they weren't thinking if they were going to win or lose. They just wanted, they were hungry, right?
Yeah.
And I always compare it to like being on an island and you're starving. You're not even going to think about, what if I don't find food? No, you're gonna spend your time finding food. You're not going to think about it, right?
Yeah.
So it's about that hunger. And that's why they lost us to one after, because the hunger wasn't there anymore. Anyway, that's a bitter pill for me. Was the give Marshawn the ball, but anyway, we don't go there. So we just did, and luckily Noel just did without asking for anything, and so I made a deal with these guys who flew up here, and we have pictures that I've never posted. They told me just keep it a secret for now, and hopefully one day it's part of the Dreamwalker story. They financed the first issue themselves. Like, wow. I had nothing.
Wow.
And so what happened? So we finally started promoting the book. Like, literally, hey, we got a finished book and to get a publisher. And the release date kept changing. Originally it was supposed to be December, but we decided to change it, and I said, you know what? Why don't we drop the book on Valentine's Day? And there was a Valentine story. By the way, that story is based on real life. That story in the back of issue 1. Which is because, by the way, I'm going to go ahead and say it now because I finally remember what disease it was. So there's that guy in the school that fell for that with his classmates. And he's about to tell her his feelings, but she collapsed before he could tell her, because he wanted to go out with her on Valentine's Day. And she collapsed, and those are people I knew.
Wow.
Your name was Joyce, and she had meningitis. That's what she had. She had meningitis, and she died.
Wow.
And so before he got a chance to tell her, and it was a story. There it is. Yeah, comfort and joy. And I love how Noel drew that so
Right.
well. The black and white. It's just so beautiful the way he drew that.
Comfort. I mean, already issue 1, and as you guys saw, I did
Yeah.
a review earlier.
Yeah.
On one of our other streams of how much I loved issue 1, and issue
Yeah.
2 takes off in a way.
Oh yeah.
One of the things I loved about this first issue
Yeah.
was the comfort and joy, because
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting. Like, you can tell when there's like moments
Mhm.
from a writer and even an artist when something
Yeah.
like feels like this feels personal. This
It
feels like it came
is,
from
yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah.
That particular spot, I got emotional reading that.
Thank you. Thank you.
And it was very beautiful. And like you said, Noel's artwork on it is just it's a short story too. And like, was it 3 pages?
Yeah, I think it's
pretty
yeah.
much? Yeah, 4 pages.
4 pages. Yeah.
Yeah, just absolutely.
That ending. Yeah, I love
Heartbreaking.
how it turns to color at the end when she enters
Yeah.
back to reality, and
Yeah,
that was based on how people dream in black and white, and so that's why I had it black and white. But yeah, so his name was Ronald in real life. Her name was Joyce, and I saw her collapse
Wow.
in school. And what's really interesting is that the school in there is modeled after the school I was in where they were. I actually found pictures of the school online from the years that I was there.
Oh my gosh.
And the reason why I know is my classmate's in the photo.
wow.
How creepy is that? It's like
Wow.
I may have been there when that picture was taken because the
Wow.
picture cut off behind her. That's where I usually was sitting. So I said,
Wow.
Noel, I don't know how this happened, but I found my school, the year, and the uniforms. It's like, can you just, draw it like this? And so that story is very personal to me. But anyway, she died before he could express his feelings to her. But as we found out after she died, that she had feelings for him as well. That his brother had kept secret from him because he was told to keep it a secret. And so what happened was she was buried on Valentine's Day. And it's the most tragic story I'd ever heard.
I literally got goosebumps.
Yeah,
from
and
that.
Yeah.
she came from a poor family, so they buried her in this wooden casket. And so anyway, he was there watching over her body on Valentine's Day because the people that were gonna put the dirt over her had to go out for dinner or something, so he was there by himself, watching her dead body, just like. I can't think of anything more sad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he told me he could have sworn that he heard her voice, like her ghostly voice, expressing her feelings towards him. And so that's where that comes from. And so I decided, what if a guy has a recurring dream every night and he keeps going back to it? Like that's the only thing he has of her is that dream. And that's why he tells Dreamwalker to like leave me alone,
Yeah.
because I have to experience this over and over again. That came from that one incident.
Wow.
I mean,
Gut wrenching. Oh.
Yeah.
it is, and for years I was like, I want to like pay tribute to those two. Like, I could never find the right way until I was writing Dreamwalker. I'm like, of course, this is how I do it, and I found a title, Comfort and Joy.
Brilliant
Thank
title
you,
too.
thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's seriously one of my favorite parts of issue 1 of Dreamwalker. It was short, sweet,
Yeah.
but like extremely powerful in
Thank
4
you.
pages. So like seriously brilliant job between you and Noel. Like just an incredible story all in itself.
Thank you.
Just yeah.
Well, I guess when you write something, it's different when you actually see it from that person's eye. The way like the last page there just really haunts me. The way she's turning into color, like, and I wrote that in the script. I said she's turning into color, but the way he draws it, and it's so poetic.
Yeah.
And with the wind blowing and everything, like, oh my god, he really captured the feeling in that moment. and his black and white art is just absolutely gorgeous. You can see the influence of Bernie Wrightson in that
Yeah.
in that section there. Um, so I said, okay, Valentine's Day. It's a Valentine's Day story in there. Perfect. Um, so that's how that turned out. But that book almost never came out. I couldn't afford to put that out. One of these guys went, really pulled through.
Yeah.
And then what happened was, I was thinking of the second issue, we're gonna have to deal with them again. At the time, Geekosity was in our first year. It was very rocky, honestly. I had to have another form of employment to keep it going because we weren't making anything off that site.
Yeah.
I think 30,000 views maybe a month. Which is nothing if you're a website. If you want to profit off it or anything.
Yeah.
But I had freelancing work that I would do. What happened was my partner at the time suddenly died.
Wow.
And I didn't have that anymore. It's a backup plan for Geekosity. Geekosity was just dying. I nearly gave up on it for several times. Then all of a sudden, in the middle of November of 2020, Geekosity exploded. It just exploded like no other. We went from
November of 2020.
Yeah.
So right when the big Snyder release, the Snyder Cut event happened, and I believe you were the first to.
I was to skip the Snyder Cut. Yeah, I was one to skip the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
And so it just the site exploded. It had over 1 million views that month. It just kept going and going. Oh my god, I'm saved now. And then I took over Second Skin because hey, I can just do this myself, and so that's all that transpired. Now keep in mind, guys, is that now during this time, when I first posted the picture of Dreamwalker, I got contacted by this guy. I didn't know who he was, and he goes, "Hey, I really like that illustration. Is your comic book out yet? Can you tell me more about it?" And I said, "Yeah, it's just about this Filipino can walk through people's dreams, and she steals objects from them, and she gets these weapons from their dreams to fight against these monsters. From my childhood, these Filipino monsters from my childhood. And when they wake up, though, they disappear. And not a Spider-Man influence there. If you read the Spider-Man comic books, he runs out of web fluid at the wrong times, right?
Yeah.
That's right. Or Green Lantern, if he doesn't recharge his ring, he runs out, right? So that was her Achilles heel, and that comes from Green Lantern. It comes from Spider-Man. So anyway, I posted Noel's first panel. That guy messages me. I didn't know who he was. I guess he said he found me during Spider-Gate. There we go, back to the Spider-Gate thing again. Right? He would have never have known who I was if it wasn't for that. Because it was all over the place.
Wow.
And I didn't know who he was. I don't look up people when they message me, or at the time I didn't know. I do. Are you from? Where are you from? I just didn't really think about it. This guy was the president of the studio. Was 108 Media, and I had no idea. Right? I didn't see anything on his page that okay. So he said, message me when the book is out because I want to read it, some digital files. Okay, sure, it's fine. So every time I would post something new from Noel, he would message me. He goes, "Oh, I love that. That's great. You got a release date yet?" Yeah. I don't publisher. What release date?
Wow.
So, the book comes out. We put up for pre-orders. Right, the book is out. He's very consistent. Can you send me digital files of Dreamwalker? I want to see it. Okay. So I got his email, and I sent him the digital files to issue 1. I get a message from him back a few days later. He said, "Hey, I'm actually the president of a studio." Like what?
He's like, yeah, I
Wow.
don't know if you know this, but I'm kind of a big deal. You've just been punked.
Yeah,
I'm the
exactly.
studio president.
Of course, my heart's beating really fast. Being a scooper in the street, like I know what that could mean. I don't want
Yeah.
to expect too much out of it,
Yeah.
And so, so I said, okay, I'll send you the files and let me know what you think. And I forgot to mention this that yeah, Sabrina turned Dreamwalker into a horror book, but the tone of issue 1 was inspired by a film called Eerie, which is a horror film from the Philippines. It's on Netflix. It's still there. You can watch it for subtitles. Really good film. And that's where I got the mood from, the atmospheric mood of Dreamwalker. It comes from that film. Because I wanted to put it in the Philippine context, and there's something kind of spooky about the provinces and the way you can actually have like ghostly characters in there and everything. And so, and issue 2, by the way, is a tribute to Erie. Just to add to that,
Okay.
that was intended. Because when I was writing issue 1, I already knew what issue 2 was going to be. I said it's going to be a tribute to Erie. I already had it in my mind. So just keep it in the back of your file there when I keep talking, because we're going to go back to this film in a very eerie way. Trust me. So I get a email from his producer. I had no idea what she had produced. And just like, okay, can we Zoom conference? And I had a baby intro, and I want to discuss your comic book with you. Like, I think I know what this means. Are you beating faster? Like, okay, sure. We set up a call. And she said that, well, we love your comic book, first of all. It's really well done. The story, the art, everything. Okay. We want to option it for a live action project. Like, excuse me? It's like one issue. One issue. People think it's two. No, it was one issue.
Wow.
Wow.
An issue. Like a week after, actually, take this out. It hadn't even been released yet. They had a digital copy in advance.
It's amazing.
So the
Absolutely
simple
amazing.
fact that when it first came out, February 14th and was
Yeah.
selling out like crazy,
Yeah.
they had already been like, yeah, we're interested.
But they jumped on it so fast, dude, before anybody else had the chance.
Wow.
And so they're like, they don't get a lot of beefs right now. I feel like it's just since the bomb, everybody's been emailing me lately. So anyway, so he, she loved the book, and I said, well, let me tell you. Hold on a second.
Yeah. It's absolutely amazing, just like the journey that's been traveled for, from his story of, having a medical emergency, things aligning, prior to that, and then all the way coming up here now. It's just,
well, if anything, it's proof that you never know who's watching. Who's
Absolutely.
paying
There you
attention.
go. That's true. That's true. You never know. Hey, like I've been watching you guys hear my comic book, and you guys had no idea.
wow.
I know. When you told us that on, I think it was on Sill's show.
Yeah, so yeah.
It literally, I was like, wait, huh? What?
What?
Don't lie, don't mess with me, man. Like, did I hear that right? that was one of the craziest, most like humbling moments
there
ever.
have been many. There have been many. It's all our reaction videos and stuff.
Oh,
so the
man.
producer, it's female. She created a Zoom conference on Build the Night, right? Because it's time zone difference, right?
Mhm.
So he said, "Yeah, we want to option your comic," and I'm thinking, there's no sales data, there's no distribution for this book. We're gonna sell it online. It's not even like it's pre-orders,
Wow.
right? So there's really nothing. And I said, oh well, she was asking me about the book, like inspiration, like what you guys are. And I said, oh, it's modeled after Kate Valdez. And she goes, who's that? Like, they didn't even know who Kate was.
Wow.
And she lives there, right? She doesn't watch soap operas or anything. So, so like, and they already want to option it.
Wow.
Huh?
Wow.
That's just a testament for how good the story and the artwork that you and Noel did on this, in the first issue,
Yeah,
let
yeah.
alone, I mean, it's just proof, that it was
Yeah.
that impactful from the get-go, and that's incredible. Because most comics don't find their footing
No.
for really after the first volume. They
Exactly. Sandman, for example, is like number 6, number 7 really hit its stride.
yeah.
And then it never looked back. But and she goes, let me tell you, who I am, like her history and everything. She goes, okay. I said, what have you produced? I asked her, what have you produced? Oh, I produced this film called Eerie. And like I literally just dropped my microphone at that time. I said,
Wow.
wait, you don't mean the Eerie? I was thinking like maybe it's another Eerie. He goes, you don't mean the Eerie on Netflix, do you? Oh yeah, that's the one. Wait, you mean that with the Catholic schoolgirl? Yeah, that's the one. Like what? Like how is this possible? And I told her, I said that movie influenced Dreamwalker a lot. Like issue 2 will be a tribute to Eerie. She goes, "Oh, Small World, like small." I'm losing my mind. He goes, "Oh, Small World," So,
Wow.
just wild, right? And so, and she goes, "Okay, we're gonna send you an agreement. Take a look at it. See what you think." Okay, that's cool. And I'm really being calm, casual. Cards to my vest. Just poker face. Every cliche. Because I've been studying the business and I've done deals before, not like this, but
Yeah.
I learned to play it cool. Because you don't even know what if the agreement is bad, right? You don't know. So
Absolutely.
a couple of days later, it was on a Friday. I remember late at night. I get bing my email, and I'm like, wow. And I thought it was just some random email. I look at the subject and it says contract. I'm like, oh shit, here it is. Like pacing it around the room, like, should I read this now? Should I wait till later? I finally opened up the file and I'm like, my God, this is a great deal. Like I own all the rights. Not even trying to get it. I mean, it's like literally about as clear as day. We're not taking anything from me.
Wow.
And so, creative control. I mean,
and you know what?
Unreal.
I just have to say, mad respect to 108 Media, because Dreamwalker, if I'm correct, was your first comic.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And this is obviously your first TV series that you're going to be, executive producer on.
Yeah.
And credit to them for not looking at this as an opportunity to take advantage of someone, young in the game, but to treat you as if you are that you are a professional, because you are. And to give you that respect of like, hey, this is yours. We just want to give share it with the world on a new entertainment medium, which, like you said, it's just crazy of how quickly this all happened.
Oh yeah, and to be treated like somebody who had a track record already. I had no track record.
Yes,
my track record was scooping. That's my track record. Spider-Gate guy, Spider-Cat guy, That's
Out of curiosity, Mikey, as someone who scoops these types of stories, was anything different than what you would have expected, or based off what you have heard, what you've studied, you've researched and learned? Did this process seem pretty what you were expecting, or was it kind of a whole crazy experience that you were just along for the ride?
I was along for the ride, man, because it never happens like this. It never happens like this. Usually you have creators, and all respect to all creators who do this, like kind of contact anybody they can find. Hey, look at me, and I'm the one like, well, I'm not really looking for anything, but I just want to get the comic book out. You know what I mean? That was my first focus. I just want to get this book out, get a publisher, whatnot.
And here Noel is just like, please, man, more issues.
More issues. Yeah, I know. Finish the story. So who wasn't even thinking about that? And so the agreement was great. And so emailed back. I said, "Yep, I like this deal." And I showed it to attorney, and everything checked out.
Wow.
And you guys, your producer of Erie, so that was a big plus in my book, right?
Yeah.
And so I messaged her and I said, "Yeah, well, I'm interested." I was being very coy. Yeah, I'm interested. So we had set up another Zoom call, right? This time the boss man was there. The president was there. And he goes, "Welcome aboard, Mikey," and everything. So super nice guy. And so he said, "Well, I'm so glad that you're let us license this work," and yeah, and the agreement called for spinoffs, and
Wow.
and what's really funny is that they gave me a choice, which totally blew me away. It's like you're at a restaurant. Do you want like a McDonald's? You want fries with that? It's just shocking. And so she goes, "Do you want a movie? Do you want a live action TV show? Do you want an anime?" Like, what? Huh?
Wow.
Like, this is like I am on Earth too, right? And then I did die on that day, right?
Like you said, man, you've been literally dream walking, these last few years, just coasting.
Just coasting, like what, And he said he likes the fact that with my scoops and everything, I'm able to bridge the gap between American audiences and Asian audiences, and that's what they were after. And they felt that Dreamwalker would be that outlet to bring those roles together. And my comic book connections, he really wants that.
Yeah.
And
there was one comment you said, Mikey, on another stream. I think with Savage Bat or Sky. And when I heard it, I was like, oh my God, that guy nailed what he was targeting and what he's getting, and that was an Asian Buffy. And if anything, it's better than Buffy,
which I've never seen. I've never seen. For you, Corey. Yeah, I've never seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which is crazy. And it was also crazy itself. And that plays a huge role in this story as well, Trey. So I said, I can't believe the swagger I had going in this thing. Give me a TV show. Give me a TV show.
Throw in a couple of spin-off films while you're at it. Too, Exactly. And I want an assistant to bring me coffee every day.
Exactly. Park my limo over there, right? give me a manicure while you're at
it. Posture bed, everything. Just take it all.
I'll never forget. I said that. Give me a TV show. Like, who am I? Who am I to demand anything, right?
Yeah.
And she goes, "Okay, great." Like, what? Well, she did ask me though, is there any reason why you want a TV show instead of a film? And I said, I don't think I deserve a film. I said, honestly, I don't think I deserve a film. All humility, I said I want to prove myself first with a TV show. Also, a film is about 2 hours long. You'll adapt the first issue, and that's it. And there's a whole storyline going on here that Noel and I, were working on. And so, and also when Noel was drawing the comic before he drew it, it says, "Noel, can you make it look like a streaming show?" And the exact words I used was "light it up like Netflix." The exact words I used. I was in love with Daredevil on Netflix. I just love the lighting on that show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
the moody, atmospheric. If you look at Dreamwalker 1, it's total that Netflix vibe, that Daredevil vibe that has the lighting and everything. It's because I really wanted that. Little did I know I'd become a streaming show. This is weird things that happen here.
Yeah.
And I remember the producer was telling me, your comic book looks like a streaming show. Exactly what she said with the visuals. Like, it looks like a streaming show. Like you literally could make a show just from the visuals and pictures alone.
Yeah.
And like Sin City, right? Like a film just based on, it translates so well.
Mm-hmm.
And so she goes, "Okay, we'll get you a live action show." Okay. And so the the president of the studio said, "Well, how about this? Okay, I have this idea. Okay, and I don't know this guy that well yet, so I'm always dreading the ideas of studio presidents, right? Uh,
Based off your skips, you have good, reason to be
yeah,
hesitant on studio.
yeah, exactly, Walter Hamada. But anyway, and she goes, he has an idea. Like, okay, what's your idea? He goes, why don't we make the dream sequences, like when she enters a dream, or Devoe is in a nightmare world, we'll make those anime, but everything else will be live action CGI. But when it goes into when it goes into the dream part, it's anime, and I'm thinking, well, that's great, but don't you have to outsource that to an anime company? And the boss man is just chilling, and goes, oh, we bought one.
Wow.
Like, what?
Wow.
You bought?
I bought
Wait,
the
wait.
bank.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's animation company. Was it Robot Playground Media?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I had no idea. And she goes, "Yeah, it'd be great if we just bought this. We just bought this studio for $6 million. Like, what?
Wow.
And we can finally use them now. Huh?
Wow. That to me, when you dropped that portion on the Friday night stream with Sky,
Yeah.
that really just like took my breath away. I was like, that blew my mind. I was like, that is just so cool. And when we are in that deep sleep and dream phase, things are a little distorted.
They are. Yeah.
It makes it so cool that you're portraying it in a different way. That's going to be really neat.
Well, you know what it kind of reminds me of, Corey, and I thought about this as soon as Mikey said that they were going to have an animation team do the dream portion, a film. And Mikey, I don't know if you've ever seen this film, but I think it's visually one of the most stunning films ever. It's What Dreams May Come with Robin Williams.
Yes, I remember that. Yep.
And I just immediately thought, like, oh my God, if they pull off something like that with Dreamwalker,
wow, yeah,
it could be one of it already is going to be a great show, but in terms of visually stunning show, it's just going to be so cool.
Yeah, but that just blew me away, right? And so after that conversation, I looked up about Playground on YouTube, like, oh my God, that's Disney works for those guys.
Yeah.
Okay, that's how the standards are so high over there. And so that took a lot of pressure off of me as well, because I haven't gotten to this yet. The season 1 is 8 episodes. It's going to adapt issues 1 through 6. And so I was worried, like, oh my God, what if I make something that's just too expensive to film, right? Because I don't want to. That makes it perfect, because most of the action in Dreamwalker is going to be involving the dream powers and stuff like that, so they can just animate those parts.
Yeah,
and and also I was reminded of Ben Affleck Bruce Wayne. I bought the bank. What he said? that was I bought the bank moment right there. Like, we got
the truth.
How'd you get the animation company?
Oh, we bought it. But he bought it. He was that calm too, just like that calm. Like, yeah, we bought it.
Oh man, that's so cool.
So I looked it up on Variety. Sure enough, there's an article on them buying that studio in there.
Wow.
And so as we were talking, we get more and more like into what they can offer me if I sign. And so the producer said, well, I noticed you're not saying anything. You've been very quiet about this. But she's like, let's talk about the elephant in the room. And I was like, okay. She goes, you want Kate in this, don't you? That's just flat out said, you want Kate Valdez in this. And I said, it's very important that Kate's in there. It would make me very happy. And, in other words, it would make me very unhappy if she wasn't, right?
Yeah.
And out of curiosity, Mikey, I'm sure it wouldn't have been a deal breaker, but I'm sure that they understood the importance of having Kate Valdez play the character that she
Oh
was
yeah,
designed
yeah.
from, you know?
Well, keep in mind that at this point I hadn't signed it yet, and so I had leveraged like, what if this guy doesn't sign it? What if this is a deal breaker? They don't know. I hadn't signed it yet.
Yeah.
And keep in mind they had not seen any of her work at all. Remember I told you they didn't know who she was. And they said that we promise you, we will go after her. I mean, it depends on how her network is okay with this and everything. You can't control that, but we will give her an offer, very fair offer, if you sign. So I had a gut feeling. My gut feeling was telling me, okay, this whole Erie thing was a big thing. It was like, okay, it's destiny, right?
Yeah.
And so I said, you know what? I said, you're the producer of Erie. I feel really good about this because of that. And the president said, excuse me, we're the studio that made Erie. Not just a producer. We made Erie. I'm like, oh my God. I didn't even look at the credits. Erie is 108 Media.
Mhm.
Stars aligning.
Stars aligning, right? And so they promised me they'll get Kate. And so, okay, I'll sign. And keep in mind that Kate has no idea what's going on, right? I post like Dreamwalker stuff, and she likes to she'll go, "Oh, that's so cool," things like that. She has no idea she's already gotten the role, right? And no one knows. I had told anybody at this point. So I signed a deal. And they said, "Can you give us the contact information for Kate's manager?" Like they were like, "Waste no time." You wasted no time, right?
Wow.
So they contacted GMA, and I was telling Kate's handler, I said, "I got Kate an international role." Okay, and she goes, "Oh, what? Dreamwalker TV show?" Like what? And I told her who it was. She's never heard of 108 Media. But Erie starred one of the Philippines' biggest stars.
Okay.
So that was big, right? Like
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, she's in there. So the negotiations took forever. Okay, now and it had nothing to do with 108 Media. I won't go into it too much detail, but it took a lot of time, right? In fact, and I understood why later on. But I signed a deal in April. Okay, by November, there was no talks yet with Kate. Kate had no idea. Okay, now during this time, I already planned a photo issue with Kate. Prior to me getting the option, I had no idea the option was even coming. I just wanted her on the cover because she's a character I modeled her after. So when Dreamwalker 1 came out, I think Noel sent her copies of the comic book, and she took photos of her holding the comic book. Now it looks like it's destiny, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
that was taken back a year ago when she got the first issue. There was not even an option then, right? And so she's smiling in the camera, and she made an article on it that Kate's holding the comic book that that's modeled after her, so on and so forth. And, so all this time, guys, I was holding this news in. Okay.
Wow.
Now, the only reason why I told Sil, okay, and I can reveal this part, it's not in the press release, not in the articles, like I mentioned this part, was that in the presentation they did for Kate's handler, there was a PowerPoint presentation on Zoom that her handler was blown away by what she was seeing. There is a page-by-page synopsis of the show, and Kate's the only female star, lead star from the country.
Wow.
And it was impressive. I was blown away, but I had not seen it until that Zoom conference. I didn't see it in advance, and so it showed. And I wish Sil could have seen this. It showed a placeholder actor as Silver. As one of the villains. Wait, have I told Sil? I don't think we told Sil this yet. It's very exclusive now.
This is Bob's
Mikey Bomb.
It showed Timbo. It's Timbo from Lords on Long Box. And a placeholder actor for him. I don't know, I can't remember who they had in the face, in the headshot there, and goes, "You are two villains in the show, still with the vampire." And I think Alice was there. It was Alicia, was one of the villains in there. There you go, Noel.
You know what? That would be awesome. No, you should do that.
Anyway, and so so Silver is going to be on the show. Tuvo and
Awesome.
and Alice are the villains, and they're in that PowerPoint presentation. And so the handler was really impressed that Kate was going to be the only Filipina star in the show. Like that's unheard of in the Philippines. You have an ensemble cast all the time. So and the fact that it's an international role. And then, but I was told that it's their policy, her network's policy. And I understand why. That their artists don't know about these deals until everything is solid. Like they have a director, they have a showrunner, everything. Where they can just like, here's the contract. What do you think of this? Okay, and we weren't that far in this yet, right?
Yeah.
So we had to wait all this time for negotiations to start. And then it just got backlogged. And during that time, Kate was taking all these photos with Dreamwalker Comics, and I'm like, I can't tell her.
And out of curiosity, those photos that she was taking that we see, was the studio looking at that as not so much an audition, but almost like a trial of costuming,
Yeah, I mean, I think they really saw my vision when they saw these photos. And to explain what these are, guys, issue 3 has a Kate Valdez photo variant cover with a photo section in the back with her as Dreamwalker. It was
so cool.
This idea was, I had this idea before the option, but it looks like it's made for the show, right? Not weird?
Yeah,
right?
It does. When I first saw it, I was like, are these,
yeah.
behind the scene shots? They're already getting ready?
Yeah, I know. And so it's just weird. Like, everything about this is eerie, right? And so these pictures, when I saw them, like, oh my God, I'm imagining the show already by looking at these photos. Like, and I think it's from the studio, like, oh, this is what Mike is seeing. Is what Mikey is seeing. This soap opera star, but look at her here. She looks like to beat up some vampires right now,
Yeah.
And
total badass.
And so I have such swagger that I sent the boss one of the pictures of her. I said, here's your Asian Buffy. He was like, wow, okay. Because he told me this after I signed. I didn't know. He goes, I have been wanting to do an Asian Buffy for 25 years.
Yeah.
I couldn't find a property. I found you. And he found me because Spider-Man. You see how this works?
Wow.
It's so crazy. And at some point, I think it'd be awesome to hear from Kate Valdez of just like, almost like the realization of like, holy shit, this is real. This is happening. Like, and you made good on your promise. She's going to become a comic book superhero.
Yeah.
And you're going to make her a huge star. And it's literally, that's the crazy thing. We're literally just like Noel, and now Kate. We are literally watching rising stars who are, I think Kate is just like, once the major markets see her.
Oh, yeah.
People are going to fall in love with her, and she's going to blow up. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, keep in mind, I was trying to get her to cast as Wave in Marvel, which now gives her that opportunity because now she'll get well known as Dreamwalker. So there you go.
I think it's also going to be hilarious when, the general audience who may not have picked up on the comic right away, they get into the TV series, they see Kate, and they're like, oh my God, she's amazing. I need to go check out Dreamwalker, the comic book now. And they pull it up and boom, they're like, oh my God, that's amazing cast. That is her, So I'm looking forward to that as well. It's
and I think as like Oracle said, this story of just leading up into this show, like forget the amazing story in the comics. This in itself is like
the story behind
worthy.
The story behind the story. I'm like,
Yeah.
Dying guy creates a girl who can walk through dreams. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an amazing story. It kind of reminds me of The Greatest Showman in some ways. Just going through the trials of life and near death experiences, and you always kept moving forward, and you always kept doing, and you always kept pushing forward until you made it to where you are now. And where you are now is absolutely exciting. It's fantastic what you've built.
Thank you. And it's just about never stopping, just continuing to go through the motions until, and I've been posting some stuff on Facebook, like, it's not the destination, it's the journey. All this stuff I was really talking about this, and people had no idea. Big new beginning, come on,
Yeah.
It's all these little hints and stuff. Like, I was laughing over the weekend, where I kept talking about, a variety of people on your panel tonight, doing a variety of topics, and it was just, just like teasing that I knew the variety thing was gonna drop, and I put a capital V in there, but no one still got it right.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah.
You guys were laughing. I mean,
Well, I
Marcus
remember the
and
first time you said it to, I think, on Sky Stream, and I wasn't looped in yet, and I was like, why does he keep emphasizing variety? What is happening here? What is the arc?
Right? What is the arc?
Yeah.
So,
Mikey, so it's crazy to think that February the comic comes out.
Yeah.
2 months later, you're already signing a deal with 108 Media to make it into a TV series. And then shortly after, you get the very person that you based Kat on, Kate Valdez, to be your character in this show. And now it's going to be coming to regional audiences in early 2024. You're going to be an executive producer. Can you give us an idea of maybe what they've told you, what they look forward to, and how they expect you to contribute to this series?
Yeah. Well, the big third bomb, if you will, is when they told me who the director was, and that was one of the biggest. You know how I shocked you guys, how I felt when I remember Mikey, we found a director. Like, okay, cool. At this point, I just wanted the project to go through. I was even thinking about, it's the director of Eerie, Mikhail Red, is directing Dreamwalker. Like what?
Mikhail Red, who did Birdshot as well, Rec Order, the holy and Eerie, like you said, holy cow! For you, it must have been like a kid in a candy store.
Oh yeah,
like your mom telling you, "Get whatever you want, sweetie."
It's like seriously, it's like having a menu. Like, okay, who's your star? I want Kate Valdez. Okay, you get Kate Valdez. I want a TV show. Okay, you get a TV show. Can I have Mikhail Red as director? Yeah, sure. Go ahead. I mean, like what?
Wow.
And Mikhail Red took off, really blew up in December. His film The Leader won 7 awards, like the Philippine version of the Oscars. And then Kate's show hit #1 in the same month. He stars aligning, you'll be the judge. And so you're probably wondering, well, how did Kate know about this? I mean, I finally told her there was a photo shoot, right? That was happening in December. And so the studio was like, look, we have to get this going. Like, Mikey, you gotta tell her. Like, what? You gotta tell her. Like, oh my God. I mean, I wasn't supposed to. Policy, right? But they really wanted to. It was just too slow for them. They really wanted to get this going. I understand why. And so one night we were messaging each other. I said, Kate, I got some news for you. Are you sitting down? It's just big news. He goes, what? And I said, Dreamwalker is going to be a TV series. And she's like, oh, congratulations to you. And, and that's how humble she is, right?
Yeah.
And I said, and Kate, you're the star. The silence. I'm like, what?
Oh my gosh.
Oh man. Wow.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing.
It's so cool to know that, I mean, her just being like speechless from this moment and like,
Well, sort
mean-
of, because we talked for 4 hours after that.
oh, did you?
You know,
4 hours. Holy
yeah,
cow.
no man, I kept switching from Facebook message, Facebook talk to Zoom, because I had a limit on Zoom, so I kept changing accounts to keep it going,
Wow.
so we could talk more. So we started at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and then we got done at 6.
And
we
out of
just-
curiosity, what, if you can tell us,
Yeah.
what kind of was that conversation? Was she just asking a lot about the character, some of your inspirations, or
She
maybe
was-
what
she
she was
was-
looking?
She was ecstatic. She was just pure, like just happiness. Like, tell me more. Like, when is the shooting and all sorts of things. But we kept talking about the past and how we got to where we were,
Wow.
like how I found her and everything. I mean, she was just blown away, totally blown away. And the timing of this, the next day was our photo shoot as Dreamwalker, right?
Wow.
So she's there. Noel was there, and the crew had no idea. No idea that she's going to be the character. Like, the only people that knew that were there, Noel knew, and her mom was there, and she knew, and the handler knew, but the photographers, no, had no idea. No idea.
It's funny hearing that story and kind of looking back at some of the photos that you've released as you've kind of talked about all of this. Kind of rethinking about those photos, you can definitely tell that she knew, because if you looked at her in her eyes,
Yeah, the
her
swagger.
facial expression, she truly believed that she was, Dreamwalker herself. It was,
Oh yeah, she owned it. She owned it in
Yeah.
those pictures, man. Goes, this role's mine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And that's what's so cool is like already, I mean, and there's not like really, when you think about there's nothing she needs to do to get into this character. The character was already designed
It's for
as
her. Yeah.
But when you see that first picture of her, and it's in our thumbnail, and just that look she gives with a sword,
Yeah.
is just absolutely like, Corey, can you go to our very first
I'll
slide?
move into it.
Is just absolutely, look, like,
There you go.
that look.
Yeah.
That's like Noel's drawing right there.
Yeah.
Her
Absolutely.
eyes are just so fierce looking.
Yeah.
It's chilling just looking
Yeah.
at her.
It's almost like, it's like the look of destiny, and like, I'm gonna own this shit. Like,
Mhm.
this is like her coming to the realization that like, oh yeah, everything's about to change, and like, I'm on, along for the ride. I'm gonna own this, and like, this is a start to something incredible, and she's gonna go for it head first. And I love that. I love this picture alone. Just, she embodied the character to a whole new level.
Well, it reminds me of what's I gonna say now? It reminds me of that scene in issue 2, where she gets the father and she goes deliverance.
Mhm.
It's just got that same look on her
Yes.
face right here. That same look on her face,
Yes.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. And oh man, and now thinking about it, well, when did this photo shoot happen?
December.
December. Okay, so issue 2 would have come out by then, so she probably saw that.
Oh no, she saw it. She had months before. No, she got done right away.
Oh,
She knew.
perfect. Cool. Oh man, yeah, it's just truly a very cool moment. It would be almost awesome to see just kind of like the behind the scenes video of her, getting ready, getting her makeup on, probably Noel talking to her or something about like, hey, this is how this shot's gonna go, and then all of a sudden the change from Kate Valdez to Kat Dreamwalker. You know?
Well, I do have a video of her where she just turns to the camera and she's got that look. I'm like, oh my god,
Wow.
you're Kat. Right at that moment, you're Kat. You
Yeah.
know, you know, like, yeah, I'm gonna kick some ass.
Well, the news came out yesterday
Yeah,
about
yeah,
the TV series, and
yeah,
it's going to be announced on a streaming platform at some
yeah,
point.
yeah.
But it's crazy to just see that all this is in production. Do you know when it's going to go into production?
They are planning on filming in July. They're really, really jump starting everything right now. They got to make sure to get the announcement done. There are some more people involved that I can't say who they are, but there's pretty impressive people. Um, yeah, I mean, it's just there's more bombs gonna be dropping about this show. They're all in. They're all in. They're getting some top level talent for this.
Wow.
Um, I will say that they are getting some talent from the UK to get involved in this show behind the scenes. Um, because One Light Media is a UK Asia company. They have an office in London and one in Singapore.
Wow.
So there's and I'm British Asian. See how weird this gets, right?
I was
Wow.
just going to say, because you're half
Yeah.
British. So
Yeah.
half English, I should say.
Yeah. It's weird.
Yeah, seriously, just like divine intervention
Yeah,
at its
yeah, it is.
best,
Yeah.
you know. Now when this goes into production, you as executive producer
Mhm.
are going to be able to be on set, I
If
assume. And
if I want to, I can. Yeah. I mean,
wow.
yeah. I mean, I pretty much have access to everything there. They're gonna go over each script with me and make sure everything is. I'm not gonna, if I want to veto anything. They already asked me ahead of time, what my, this never could happen list. You know what I mean? So that way, don't even try it. Like, don't even try it. So
Nice.
I already got that, and so, um, and they've hired some. Hold on, guys. Hold on.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy, man. Like when you think about how fast this is all happening, it's almost like you kind of like take a step back and you go, wow, like really, huh? Like
Yeah, it's been one of those things where I've been out of the loop of what the arc was for a long time, and I like a lot of people thought it was potentially Snyder related. You did a fantastic job of pushing me off the scent, but Sky, when I'd be on his streams, when you kind of take your break and stuff like that, he kept saying, "Corey, this is something that you can't even imagine. Like, it's not even in the realm of possibilities of what you can possibly think the arc is." And boy, was that the truth. When I was told about it that Friday night, last Friday night, I immediately I was like, "What?" I would have never come to the conclusion that it was that. I was starting to kind of clue in it was Dreamwalker related. But it's amazing how quick and how fast they were able to recognize, literally from, the first few, slates, the pages, the first comic book that they knew that this was going to be something special. And I think that's what's so cool about this.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, and like Mikey has mentioned, this is divine intervention in a lot of ways because the stars are aligning, things are working out for a reason, and this is going to be a global phenomenon.
Yeah. This whole story kind of reminds me of like kind of the start of Jurassic Park, because Steven Spielberg reached out to Michael Crichton and was like, "Hey, what do you got going on?" And he told him about this dinosaur book that he was working on called Jurassic Park. It wasn't even out yet, and already Steven Spielberg was like, "Oh, we're doing this. We're going to make this happen." And this is the same situation with Dreamwalker, with Mikey. Like, what's your first, like, when's the first issue come out? Like, I'm seeing the artwork. It looks great. Like, I need to know, read the story. You want to do a TV show, whatever you want. We want this, it's just evidence that they believed in what you, Mikey, and Noel were doing with this IP. And just, they recognized they recognized really the specialness of it, the kind of that it was this thing that, like, if they didn't get a hold of it, someone else was.
That was the fear. That was the fear that they would have to get on this right now if or that they miss out. And it's exactly what happened. And The other studios were like, well, let's see your sales data and so on and so forth. These guys are like, no, no, you know,
Yeah.
we want this now before, because you know how comic books are hot property right now. Everybody's trying to get their own comic book adaptation going. Um, what was really surprising about the Variety article was it mentioned universe, and that was just a private discussion between us. I didn't realize that would go public. That um, I think their confidence level went up
Yeah.
because I got the original draft of the press release, and it did not mention the multi-season. I think they've gotten much more confident now that they've hired Mikhail and Kate's been signed. I think they realize now, like, oh my god, we really have something here beyond what we originally expecting.
Mhm.
Which just really really excites me as well. And Socks, a few years ago he coined the phrase Mikey verse because I was doing
Yeah.
scoop jams with all these different YouTube channels. Oh, it's like a Mikey verse. And I don't think Socks had any idea that it would literally become one.
Well, Mikey, I know you have to get going
Yeah.
soon, so we'll get on to this next portion
Sure.
real quick where I have a instant Insta story time with Mikey Sutton, where I
Okay.
pulled some of your old Instagram photos, and we're gonna get your reaction and kind of ask you what's the story behind it, and also just kind of what it meant to you at this moment. So
All right.
hopefully you're ready, good sir.
Oh, there it
that might be
is.
funny.
Yeah.
So obviously, the first pick I have is the Dreamwalker. You finally posted your first comic is gonna be on sale February 14th, 2022. As someone who this is your first time writing a comic that's getting published, what was that like for you?
It was at the time the most exciting moment in my life to be able to. The fact that I got it done was one thing, to have this graphic by Noel to show that it's gonna go on sale. That just like blew me away.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh man, it's so great. And I love that when you think about it here, like on sale February 14th, it has value, it holds meaning to you. It holds meaning to a community that we're all a part of that really supports you. It just couldn't have worked out better that this was the date that you chose. And I mean, hence why it sold out like crazy. Which, guys, if you haven't gotten an issue of Dreamwalker yet, we have it in the description on our YouTube link here. So make sure it's selling out again. Once the news hit that Dreamwalker was coming out as a TV
It
series.
didn't last the day. The first and second print, that one was sold out by the end of the day. So again,
Corey's lucky that I planned ahead for him and purchased his copies.
Yeah, and I actually bought another round of copies too. And
thank you.
Yeah. So I want I know there's talks about you've mentioned on the channel previously like a Dreamwalker trade. Future. I'm absolutely going to get that as well, but I wanted to protect some of the the original copies. Like I don't want to fat finger them anymore. Like they're going to be set off.
Totally. I know. I wear gloves now. Like literally, like when I was taking some pictures of them so I could have them like ready and so I could like review them because I don't want to like open them anymore because I mean it's a big deal. I want to get them CGC'd. So I've been literally like click. Just being so careful with them. Mikey, you were talking about this picture earlier in our show today, the Kate Valdez picture that Noel commented on. Seeing it after all these years, what do you find the comedic side of it now, like how crazy it is?
Well, there's a couple of things. I quoted the Cult, She Saw Sanctuary in the lyrics there. The sparkle in your eyes. GMA's Artist Center 2 years after this was renamed Sparkle. It had nothing to do with this, which is a very weird coincidence. And Kate is now a Sparkle artist. Okay, so it's just most bizarre coincidences. I just find it funny that you have Noel on here and Kate and I mean, this is the origin of Dreamwalker right here. It's a Big Bang.
Yeah. it's so crazy.
It's in
like
public. It's in public,
from November 21st, 2019. Like how crazy is that? Like,
it's crazy, man.
Corey, can you go to the next slide?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I saw this on Instagram, this first photo on the left, a wagdaw, and I figured this was something from the Philippines that maybe you could give us some backstory on.
Oh yeah, that's just a Filipino joke there. the way it sounds like mom don't, and so I just it's Filipino corny humor. I just thought it was hilarious. They like to name things like, in very corny ways. So I thought it was just hilarious.
Very cool. And then this picture in the middle, you got to meet one of your
Oh, yeah.
childhood heroes, Ron
Yeah.
Wilson. What was that like meeting him?
Oh, that was a thrill meeting him. Ron Wilson, I grew up on his art. Marvel 2-in-1, he drew a lot of the thing and everything. Really great artist. It was so great to meet him at that time. I think this was prior to my stroke. I think it was.
Oh wow.
But it was fun. It was so much fun meeting him there.
And Mikey, I just gotta say, you got some swag, man. I've seen when you were hanging out with Still at
Yeah.
the Seattle Con, you know, you
Yeah.
had that purple shirt going on. I was like, damn, man.
You gotta be rocking it, man. Well, I want to be like you, Trey. Look at you now, man. Look at that.
No, I want to be like you. And then, of course, the famous Spidergate
Yeah.
post that you had posted again on Instagram, talking about 2 years ago, you
Yeah.
broke the internet, and sure enough, you did. This completely changed your life.
It did, and you know, I took a photo with Tom Holland back in 2018 before my stroke. I met him. I met who else was there? Loki, and then I met Sebastian Stan that same day. We all just had a picture together. Holland was he was like a kid, just like a high school kid. He was very, very like there's no rock star thing in him at all when I met him. He called me Mr. Sutton the whole time. It felt like Mr. Stark, you know what I mean? You know, like,
Wow.
and this is
You had to be
remember
like
it's like,
Iron Mikey.
yeah, it's like a year before Spider-Gate, right? So we had no history with each other at the time.
Wow.
You know, he gave me a hug. All the girls were screaming, "Wait not hug me!" You know. But super cool guy. And then when this news broke, when I broke this news, I was like, I'm forever attached to Spider-Man now. There's just no other way around it. And I thought this was my legacy, guys. I thought this is, you know, my list. Little did I know, something bigger was gonna come along. You know?
Right.
But I tell you, the next time I take a photograph with Tom Holland, it'll break the internet. Like, oh my god, they finally reunite, you know?
Yeah.
Mr. Spidergate and the Spider-Man himself. And then this one is just a little more for sentimental value,
Yeah.
Mikey, about I think something I saw that was just like, I thought was very touching to see your mom and Kate Valdez themselves holding your comic. What did that mean to you?
A lot. I mean, I wanted to make sure that, you know, my mom held my first comic, and you know, she was going to drive me to the comic book store growing up, and all my comics and everything. I love how you put the photos side by side here. That's just awesome.
It's adorable.
Yeah, and you could just tell that both their smiles, you know, it says it all.
Yeah,
it was just this really cool moment, and
yeah,
I'm sure Mrs. Sutton is crazy proud of you to create this and to bring her culture into it, you know, with the Filipino folklore. And I know you're close to leaving soon.
Yeah.
Do you mind kind of giving us, for those who like aren't really blessed with, you know, knowing the Filipino folklore, when I read Dreamwalker, I was like, there's a lot of great stuff happening here that it's probably even more special if I understood what this meant. Can you go into at least in the first two issues a little bit of that Filipino folklore?
Yeah, in the first issue we had the walk, that vampire bird that I used to hear about that when I was a kid. You know, if you stay out too late, you know, you might encounter one of those things. That was a way to get kids to be safe and go back inside. And so I wanted to have a story revolving around that Filipino folklore, and have it be Dreamwalker's first case. And I wanted her to fail the first time out because she just got this power. She's not going to be invincible already. She's going to have to, you know, train and everything. And I wanted to give her that Spider-Man moment where he runs out of web fluid, which is when he doesn't get the kid on time, and the bird takes him away. And that's something that's going to haunt her for the rest of her career. She's going to be haunted by that. And the second issue is also very personal to me. That Lady in White myth in the Philippines.
Yes.
with the baleta tree and everything.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I found out later that tree actually strangles other trees, and I didn't find out about that until I finished writing issue 2. Um, but you have girls hanging themselves on that tree, and I had no idea those trees actually strangle other trees.
Wow.
But when I was a kid, I remember being in the car in the middle of the night and being told that this is the drive where the lady in white shows up. And apparently, if the lady in white shows up, you have to look at her. You can't look away from her. If you look away from her, she'll end up in your car and she'll sit next to you. And you don't want that to happen, right?
Yeah.
And so I remember being like in the opening scene of issue 2, where you hear the heartbeat going crazy,
Mhm.
right? That was me as 5 years old going through there and just freaking out, like worried. Now, keep in mind, I wasn't prepared for this. Like, we were close to where that was, and I was told, "Oh, by the way, this is where the lady in white shows up." Lady in white? What do you mean? You know,
Mhm.
literally pissed my pants in the car going through that damn thing, and
Wow.
so, and never showed up though. Never showed up, and so I wanted to incorporate that in the story, but in a different way. Instead of a lady in white, you have 3 sisters. And why are they haunting? Because they were abused and tortured by their father, and they hung themselves, and so they're getting their revenge back on the church, that cult church that her father was a part of. Which is why they had no qualms about killing the family in the beginning. Those are all members of the church. Um, so I wanted to keep um, an element of some of the weird cult-like stuff I was hearing when I was there too, and incorporate that in the story. Um, the 3 girls who hung themselves, nothing to do with the Filipino myth. That came from a Facebook Live video that I unfortunately was given. It was a young girl who hanged herself on Facebook Live, and I didn't know what it was. I don't know what I was watching. Like, somebody sent me this video, and I'm watching it, and she's talking to the camera, and all of a sudden she goes to, and I thought, okay, maybe you just fake or something, right? Um, Although that's a pretty good acting from her. If this is fake, I mean, she was just really hurt and just talking about somebody who abused her, and this person was not getting punished for it, and we never knew who it was that did this to her, right? That abused her, and she couldn't handle the pain anymore, so she hung herself live on Facebook, and I'll never forget the last moment of her video where she's hanging from a tree, and the wind is kind of blowing her body back and forth, and it's the creepiest thing, right? Then you hear somebody calling her name. Obviously, it's her mother, and the mother screams. Then somebody turns off the camera. Now, apparently, this video was put on YouTube. It kept being taken down, but the mom insisted they kept it back up. As a lesson to all the families out there to listen to their kids if they're hurting, because they could be suicidal. And I just felt such rage that this person who did this to this girl was never punished, and I wanted to see that person punished. Is why I wrote that story, and I didn't want to make Dreamwalker kill anybody. Instead, she gave the guide to the girls and let them tear him up to pieces.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That was Dreamwalker's Spectre moment. That was her Spectre moment. Like, you know what? The Spectre was the spirit of vengeance, right? And so I figured that um, I couldn't imagine Dreamwalker just walking away from that and not punishing the guy in some way.
Yeah.
Something had to be done. Any normal person would have done what she did. Um, because what would happen to the cops? They wouldn't do anything. She's
Yeah.
rich.
But there's something so beautiful about that moment. While it's really dark and
Yeah.
savage and kind of gruesome in a way,
Yeah.
there's a little bit of it's a difference with her character, right? Like
Yeah.
in the first issue and kind of in the beginning, second issue, you're
Yeah.
kind of like she's just looking at things, of this supernatural world
Yeah.
as monsters that she needs to slay.
Yeah.
But then she sees this other side and she has empathy and sympathy
Yeah.
for these girls
Yeah.
and decides like for them to heal and really for the good of people, from them not hurting the church, that
Mhm.
church anymore
Mhm.
or killing people. Like,
Yeah.
let me spare them. Let me free them from this
Yeah.
torture, There was something, while gruesome and fearsome and scary about it, also kind of, comforting in a way.
Thank you. Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
There's kind of catharsis there, like justice was done, but then there's something creepy too because the sister saw what was happening and she's like, because the girls didn't want to kill the father in front of the sister, but the sister was always with the father. They didn't want them to experience that. But it's like I said, children are the branches of their parents, and so that kid also has that evil in her. And so, which would set up something in the future if I decide to do it. But I probably won't. I just leave it right there.
Interesting.
I love how you pull elements from stuff that has happened to you or stuff that you've lived through in real life, as well as the creative mind that you've become. And it's absolutely amazing, like you said, with your medical emergency, kind of rewiring your brain and becoming that creative person that you are. It's just absolutely amazing. This story that you have, not just about Dreamwalker, but what it took to come to where you are now, is just absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
What advice would you give to a writer or someone who would like to become a writer? The stuff that you did with socks the other day was absolutely beautiful, and you did hope for a lot of people. And every spotlight I've seen of you, Mikey, in the most recent interviews that you've done, you're inspiring people to go out there and be creative. And from you coming from a mind that maybe wasn't so creative before to now look at what you're doing and how creative and artistic and beautiful your writing and stories are. What advice would you give to them?
Yeah, just to give you a little bit of background here before I go. Before my stroke, I couldn't write. I had a hard time writing stories. I was more analytical than I was creative. You use different sides of your brain. When I had a stroke, my brain switched. I have a hard time analyzing stuff. Like I can't review stuff. I have a horrible time doing it. It's very difficult. But I can sit down and plot like 10 stories in my sleep. I mean, so that happened before Dreamwalker. I wrote this because that I had a secret origin myself.
Wow.
My brain switched in that stroke. My advice for people is just to keep reading and reading, because everything I don't study things, I absorb them. And it's all about osmosis. And it's a very organic thing. And I know maybe it doesn't work for some people. I get bored studying stuff. But if I read stuff and I can feel it, everything I write about is emotionally based. And so with Dreamwalker, I'm able to pull different influences and mix and match all together because of the fact that I'm just absorbing stuff like a sponge. And I just wonder how many other writers are like this. I'm not sure. I love Grant Morrison. Grant Morrison's able to take all sorts of stuff from music, stuff from cartoons, and just throw them all together into his own little menu there. So I think the number one thing is, guys, just don't give up. Keep grinding and grinding and grinding. Don't give up. And build up your socials and get people to know who you are, because the more people know who you are, the more they're going to be interested in your work. Because I learned this from Stan Lee. People will be attracted to your stuff through your personality, because Stan Lee wasn't Stan Lee to me as a kid. He was Uncle Stan. Okay, he was this lovable guy that everybody liked. So you'd want to read his stuff, right? Because that's who he was. Some people are just jerks and they can never pull that off. So, but Stan was just a really good guy, and so, but growing up, and his personality came through the comic books. That's like Peter Parker, Stan Lee was a kid. Come on, you know it, and just be yourself. But I think number one is just to keep reading, because people don't read enough. I've been reading comics since '78, guys. I have a lot of reading experience, and I can pull stuff from decades ago, influences, and and it comes out in the work. And also, all credit to Noel Layon Flores, my collaborator, because he helps me write better, and I write for his art. And Noel, I got your message. I will do that. So anyway,
Well, Mr. Sun, I know you need
thank
to get going,
yeah,
and
thank
I
you.
just wanted to say thank you so much, sir, for
Thank you.
taking this time to chat with us and our audience. And congratulations on this
Thank you.
incredible news, sir. You and Noel deserve it, and I can't wait to see what comes in the Mikeyverse in Dreamwalker. It's gonna be exciting.
Thank you. I want to say, Corey and Trey, this is the best interview I have ever experienced in my life.
Oh, wow.
Seriously, this is the best in my 37 years. You guys are awesome. This is just a great interview. No offense to the interview. You guys are just top of the line. This is
Wow.
This is top level interviewing skills you guys have here. All the best with your show. You guys should be bigger than you are. Seriously, you guys are this professional. Ask questions this deep. This is really well done. You guys do your homework, man. I'm serious.
Thank you, sir. That means a lot coming from you, especially.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, truly appreciate that, Mikey, and so excited for you and so happy for you.
Thank you.
Just it's a pleasure and honor knowing you and being your friend, and I'm just so happy for you, and Dreamwalker and everything that's to come with it. It's just so exciting. This is something that's needed in the community, not just our community, but the world. This is big for, the Filipino community, the British community, the American community.
Yeah.
There's a lot of firsts that are coming with this. Real quick, last question before you take off.
Uh-huh.
I know you said, you're going to be having, Sil as a big channel for finding out new news of Dreamwalker. Is that the best way for people to find out? Make sure people are following Second Skin Comics .com for that. Where else can they find out more about Dreamwalker?
Yeah, my Instagram, like you said, Instagram, my Facebook page. I'll always update those. Those are the three syllable, and my socials. I'll always keep you guys updated. Before I go, I just want to say, in case people don't know yet, Trey and Corey are going to be appearing in the comic book. So these guys are going to be comic book characters in there. And I had no idea they were brothers when I made this decision.
Which means we're going to kill each other in the comic.
So I'm like, do I need a Cain and Abel in here somewhere? You never know.
Oh my gosh!
Oh man, I can't wait to see that, Mikey. You sir,
thank you so much.
It's an honor for
Thank you. Honor being here. Great interview, guys. Seriously, I would get some celebrities on here. You guys interviewing. You guys are too awesome.
Appreciate you. Hopefully, we'll have you back again sometime soon.
I got a perfect name for both of you. I'm gonna call you now the World's Finest. You have Batman and Superman. So Trey and Corey are World's Finest. That's I can't unhear that now. So from now on, you guys are World's Finest. So
that's a big shoes right there.
Big shoes, man.
Thank you so much, Mikey. I appreciate it.
I predict you guys will have better World's Finest than James Gunn can come up with.
Ain't that for the truth, I totally forgot about him. It's all about
I know, like what? Thanks, guys. I'll see you guys later. You take care,
Mikey. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh man, and guys, we do have all of Mikey Sutton's social media pages in our YouTube description, his Facebook, his Instagram. Make sure you guys follow him, because not only is he posting like great stuff about Dreamwalker and updates about that, if you want to keep up with Dreamwalker, you can also follow Sil Abdul. It's Sil Abdul Podcast. I'm so used to calling Sil.
I know. I still want to say Ink as well.
Yeah, it's gonna be a bit, but make sure you subscribe to Sil Abdul Podcast, who always has Mikey Sutton on there, doing some great streams, and just I'm so happy for Mikey. It's been a true journey, and I remember the first time Sil Abdul messaged me about joining him for a show, and at the time I was like 3 months into YouTube, and I was like very timid about joining anyone. Because I was kind of like, I still need to get comfortable with my own show. And, I just end up watching Sil's show, and Mikey wasn't there yet. I was just watching in before Mikey showed up. And then when Mikey did, you hear all these things like, oh, he scooped Spider-Man coming back to the MCU, he scooped this, he scooped the Snyder Cut. And I'm like, who is this guy? And I will never forget Sil saying, like, if you don't believe me, if you don't believe Mikey, do your research. Go look him up. And I was like, you know what? I bet, some people would probably say that, because no one takes the time to do the research. I did. I went and looked up Mikey Sutton, and he was right. He was right about a lot of things. And listening to him and just the positivity he brings, and hearing about Dreamwalker and how he was developing that, and hearing him talk about different things that were inspiring him to make each story, and then finally see it come to life with publishing, with the comics, with Second Skin Comics, and getting to hold that in your hands. It was, in a weird way, it was kind of like holding the Snyder Cut. It was this something that you felt a part of because you knew Mikey, you knew Sil, and everyone else of this community that was kind of a part of this world of building with Dreamwalker. And to see it succeed the way it is for someone who rightfully deserves it, and just is a super guy. Noel is just, I mean, you saw Noel in the chat today. Noel's a riot, man. I love Noel to death. He's been a
riot all, well, I want to say week, but it's only been, he's always a riot, but he's been on fire in the interview streams lately.
Oh, totally. And Noel shows up for our Star Wars streams a lot. And, I loved that too, because Noel is such a brilliant mind about really all things pop culture, and always has something interesting to bring to the to our conversation. So I always appreciate Noel, and the fact that he's just a super talented artist as well is just incredible. Literally Dreamwalker is just a beautifully done comic, and I can't say enough about Mikey Sutton, Noel Layon Flores. They're absolutely brilliant. Definitely follow Noel on Instagram as well. Corey, that was so much fun, man.
Trey, and before, I know we're about to start to wrap things up, but Oracle's Clock Tower gave a $20 super chat.
Oh man, Oracle, you're sweet. Thank you.
So Trey, seriously, I was trying to watch after, I messed up with Savage Bad. So thank you again, Savage Bad. I missed the stream. I was just a super chat. I was just so excited, talking and just really dived in. It was hard to watch the chat too much. So, but Oracle's Clock Tower said, Trey, seriously, I must say you and Super Bro absolutely nailed this interview. This was some professional quality content. Please do more. Mm-hmm. Congratulations, Mikey-san. Looking forward to Dreamwalker.
Thank you so much, Oracle. That does mean a lot to me, especially with it being our first spotlight show. This new interview series that we're going to do on the Bat Channel. We're going to try to bring more people on that we're going to interview and discuss, their careers, celebrities, maybe talented comic book writers, artists, different people to kind of dive into their world and to have it share with us. And these inspiring stories like Mikey Sutton, we're going to keep bringing you guys more great content. So, Corey, can we play Oracle a little something to say thank you?
Yeah, I think this is the best thing to maybe talk about how all of us reacted yesterday to the news of Mikey Sutton.
My God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm.
Wait.
Everybody, calm down.
And that was us today when we, it was funny. We were talking behind. Before we went live today, and we're like, man, we're kind of nervous right now. I was like, Trey, are you nervous? I'm like, yeah.
I was nervous. Yeah, because I wanted to do a good job.
It was like, oh man, this is
which is funny because when you
Mikey's
think about,
our friend,
Mikey's our friend.
He's been on the show numerous times before. We've been on shows with him, but this is huge news. And I think the thing that I guess, let me ask you this, Trey, as we start to wrap up.
Yes,
what are you looking forward to the most with Dreamwalker, whether it's the comic book or the TV series?
It's great question. There's a lot. I don't know if I could pin it on one thing. I'm excited for issue 3 of Dreamwalker because I know Mikey has said that it's gonna blow up and it's gonna be action packed. I'll never forget the first time, issue 1, if you saw my review a couple live streams ago, issue 1 was a great start. I'll always say that. You know, it was kind of like you kind of get thrown in kind of into the middle of it, and you're kind of like figuring out how everything's going to work, what's going to be the tone of this comic, and who's this main character that we're going to follow through with this journey. And you're kind of getting used to it. And that comfort and joy storyline at the end was just so beautiful. And you're like, wow, that was very impactful. But issue two took I feel like issue 2 was kind of like, okay, I know what's like, I know where we're going with this comic. And the first time you see Silver and Alice in the panel, you're like, immediately you're like, oh my God, like that, like you can tell these people are going to like, it's like the bulldozer, you know, in the storyline, the thing that's just going to change everything. And you're about to watch the world explode, and you're seeing the ticking time clock, you know, for the big bomb that's about to happen, and the anticipation to that. And I'm excited to see more of Noel's artwork. I'm truly like impressed with his artwork. I really, and I don't know how to describe it because I'm not an artist. I don't know.
I love
the
how
techniques.
he said earlier, by the way, he kind of explained it as like Dreamwalker paneling his film storyboards application for me. I love how he worded that.
Absolutely. And I love like his artistry. And like I said, I don't know how to quite explain it, but like one of my favorite artists for DC is Lee Bermejo. And he kind of has that realistic shading and coloring, and Noel kind of captures that, but he has his own way of doing it. And it's just so cool. But it's definitely like right up my alley of the type of art that I like when it comes to comics. And it's visually stunning, and it looks like it could be live action entertainment, you know? And I think that's what's cool about it, is you can see it in a movie, you could see it on TV. And that really excites me. I'm excited to see Kate finally do this role. I think, I mean, obviously it was made for her. She's going to be just fantastic. And you know, she's going to own it. I'm just excited to see where it brings, and to see this true, incredible honor for Mikey, and just see him take off. You know, it's like watching your friend succeed, and you couldn't be happier. Like whether he takes you along that ride or not, you're just excited. And the fact that he is taking us along with the ride with him, with us being in the comic, you know, it's like, which is a huge humbling experience.
Right?
You're just kind of like,
that's absolutely humbling. You know, like I was just, you know, because the announcement was that you were in the comic book, and I was just super happy for you. I was excited. I was excited to see all these other people coming in, and then he dropped the bomb that I think Noel was on our channel one day.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh yeah, and I was like, wait,
he's like, and you too, Super Bro, and we were both like,
what?
we're together.
Yeah, you know, it's just like absolutely insane, and kind of hearing. You know, Mikey talk about our characters more and more here and there. It's been absolutely insane, and you know, it's never been like I'm not trying to fight my way to get like force myself in there. It's cool that it's happened, you know, naturally right? Once again. So like the entire thing has been a natural set of events that happened, and it's truly an honor to be a part of the Dreamwalker. But looking, you know, even on the outside, not even thinking about that, you know, and you know, just seeing your friends succeed, and seeing, you know, people, you know, get emotional before I knew what was going on, like yourself, Sky, Savage, Fox, Savage. You know, I think I said Marcus. You know, the cool table. You know, just seeing how emotional you guys were getting, and kind of rewatching those videos. It's just absolutely beautiful. I would say, you know, the thing that I'm probably most excited outside of that, because you know that's what I'm most excited. I'm most excited for seeing my friends.
Agreed.
And you know, get things that they deserve in life, and the story of keep pushing through. Like, I love his story. It's an amazing story of how he got here, and how everything just aligned perfectly. And it's really touching, and you know, motivating in a lot of ways. And seeing people in the chat get just so inspired to write or draw or create create a channel on YouTube and create content, that's what I look forward to seeing, and I get excited about. I love seeing people be inspired, and Mikey is sure is doing that. Outside of that portion, this Dreamwalker is much needed for the story
new content
era. It's new content. That's exactly what I was going to say.
New and
It's
good content.
It's good writing,
good comic
fantastic
storytelling.
writing. Not just being his friend. It's fantastic writing.
Yeah,
it's fantastic drawings and art. It's a beautiful, just absolutely beautiful story. And guess what? They're making a show off. It's not some reboot. It's not some, same old, comic book character on repeat. This is something brand new. And I love, like when they talk about, the comments of like, oh, this is going to be, kind of my Filipino Buffy. And I freaking loved Buffy. Buffy was, my all-time favorite show when I was a kid. Growing up, obviously Smallville, but I loved those shows, man. Even Angel, I wasn't as much invested in Angel, but Buffy, the Vampire Slayer, Sarah Michelle Gellar was my first crush, and Eliza Dushku.
Don't do it. Too. I knew you were going to do it.
She was pretty cool as well.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree, Trey?
Sure.
But on a deeper side of things as well. You got that aspect of it, but The Walking Dead is coming to an end. So there's a void in the market right now for a good story that's new and original.
Yeah.
And that that's going to take the place of a Walking Dead style show or that Buffy style show, which that's starting to get a lot of hype again, which has been interesting. I've been seeing people and hearing people watch Angel and stuff like that, and like just
it's because
on social media.
Michelle Gellar is in a new horror show, I think on Paramount Plus or Peacock, one of those. I have to check that out as well. Once again, stars are aligning for Mr. Sutton and Flores to create this incredible universe. And I think what's so exciting about it is, us being DC fans, we've seen what happens when a studio doesn't have faith in their product and they give up on it too easily, or they have egos involved. But here we're seeing with 1-8 Media, that they're like, you're in charge of this, Mikey. This is your vision. You want Kate Valdez? Okay, we're coming for her. We're going to get her. Who else do you want? You want a TV show, movie, spinoffs? Done. Hey, we have an animated studio that can do. They're so behind Mikey Sutton and Noel that it's just, they're in good hands, which is all you can hope for with your friend, is that someone's going to take good care of them and help lead them. Corey, you have a Buffy mug to prove it? Oh God, yeah, you do.
I do have a Buffy mug. And unfortunately, I believe it broke in my last move, which was it's extremely sad.
Did you cry?
Inside maybe a little. Because man, I still remember where I got that mug. It was a family trip to Gatlinburg, Tennessee. There just so happened, and it's not just a Buffy mug. It happened to be one of those ones where you could like get your photo in with the background, like green screen. It was basically green screening, and then they immediately printed it on a mug. So it was like me and Buffy.
And he was practically drooling in the picture because she was leaning over a little bit, and Corey was just like,
hell yeah.
Hell yes.
Hell yes.
So yeah, no, absolutely. So that's why I'm also so excited from, like not even thinking about being friends and being connected to the story, just outside looking in. This is going to be an amazing story, amazing niche show.
Yeah. Just as a fan, right? Like of the comics.
Exactly. The possibilities are endless with this show. And yes, I'm just absolutely excited. Talati said somebody saved me.
Not today. But, and as I say, it's so cool you're literally seeing this grow from the start.
Mhm.
You know, you're like, it's like you planted a seed for a flower and you're watching it grow shortly into this beautiful, great thing. And that's what it's been. We've known Mikey Sutton for a long time
Long
now.
time.
But you know, when he was just starting to talk about this Dreamwalker thing, and to see it become a comic, see it become now a TV show, and who knows what else it will lead to.
Mhm.
It's an incredible feeling. And I've always said to Mikey, and I've said it to Noel too, I would be the first person to tell them that if I didn't like something, or if I wasn't a fan of something, you know, that they did in their comic or whatever they did, because that's what friends do. Friends can be honest. You know, I was very impressed with the first issue, and I fell in love even more with the second issue of Dreamwalker, to where I'm so excited. I can't wait for issue 3, which is why, as someone who really enjoys it as a fan, I can seriously tell you, you need to get this comic. Hell, if you want to get it for the sheer value that the comic is going to be, and is starting to rise in price on eBay, I've seen some people trying to sell it for like hundreds of dollars. Get your issue of Dreamwalker now. You can get it at Second Skins Comics. Corey has the link. We also have it in our description of YouTube. You can check it out there. We also have Mikey Sutton's social media pages to follow him. But get your copy of Dreamwalker. Get it to read it. I always say a huge moment that happened to me when I was growing up. I went to Comic-Con one year here in Colorado, Denver Pop Culture Con, and I got to meet Neil Adams before he passed. And first off, he's the nicest guy in the entire world. But Corey was actually the person, Super Bro, that got me into comics. He bought me my first DC comic. I was always a Batman fan, but I never owned a comic until I was 21 or 22. And Corey bought me my first comic, and it was that famous Neil Adams Batman cover with the Joker. And I had the opportunity to have Neil Adams sign it. And I remember when he looked at it, he stared at it for a while, and he was impressed by the quality. Good job, Corey. But he just looked at it and he was like, oh, wow. And then he looked up at me, and it was almost like he was disappointed of probably what the answer may have been. And he just said, did you even read it? He like thinking I was just going to have him sign it so I could sell it. And I looked at him and was just like, no, sir, I opened it and read it. And he was like, good, that's what it's for. Ever since that, it stuck with me that, like, yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with comic collecting, but to have something that someone works so hard on, like a comic, like Mikey has done with Dreamwalker, and the hard work that Noel and the blood, sweat, and tears they've put in, the love they put in this theme that they've created, this baby of theirs, this universe that's spilling out. It's important to kind of enjoy it for what they meant it to be, which is a story to tell, hopefully to inspire, and maybe something to say, you know. And Dreamwalker is an incredible comic. And I would back that up. If you don't have it, get it at Second Skin Comics. You can get issue 1. I think issue 2 might be sold out, but look for it. Who knows? They might come out with more.
I checked.
Did you?
The Haunted Jeep variant and the Shock variant are still available, but the majority of all of them are sold out.
Yeah.
So
good luck finding them. But seriously, if you can, buy them. When issue 3 comes out, they go quick. I'm not joking. Literally, when the first issue came out on February 14th, it was practically sold out by 8 hours, basically. It was insane how quickly it went. I was lucky to get 1 copy, you know, which I had to buy from a comic book store that had bought it in Alaska. You know?
Oh yeah. So, oh gosh, what are they? They are the that
I think it was Atlas Comics.
Aegis Comics of Alaska, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, I had to get it from them. But make sure you guys get your issue of Dreamwalker. Make sure you follow Mikey Sutton and Noel on Instagram and Facebook, and just be a part of this journey with them. Get to be a part of this world building. You know, in the DC world and the Marvel world, it's already kind of set in stone. You know, like it's already built. Here, you're watching this universe literally be created. right in front of your eyes, and now you're going to see it in live action. So if you want more Dreamwalker review content, make sure you guys follow Sil Abdul and the rest of the cool table with Skywalker, Leon and New Geeks, El Necron, the Good Austin. Follow Batdan's Thoughts, who's definitely highly involved. Marcus Neo 7 is going to be doing stuff. Follow Sox. He's going to be doing an interview with Mikey Sutton tomorrow. The Savage Bat, our good friend.
Zod Rider.
Did we say that at the same time?
We did.
We're brothers.
You can tell we're brothers because I was noticing we were like, wow, yeah,
Wow.
wow.
But guys, thank you so much for being here. And please make sure to smash that like, share this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. I'm your host, Trey, with his co-host, Super Bro Corey. And don't forget to tune in weekly.
Same bat time.
Same bat channel. See you later, guys.
Good
Thank
show,
you.
Trey. Yeah, it was fun, man. There we go.